That's it. I'm back. It is time for the real Thursday night reality check. How you guys doing tonight?
All is well.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Oh, amazing.
This show is about reality. This show is about truth. Some people might say there's negativity in here, but sometimes the truth is mistaken for negativity. And reality check Thursday night is all about reality. Tonight's subject is passive aggressive behavior and validation seeking. Also, we're going to talk about manipulators. Michael Foster had sent me a really good article on manipulators, and we'll go over that a little bit. So let's talk about passive aggressive behavior. First, let me just address, I've been off for a couple weeks, just kind of, just kind of chilling and just trying to take a step back, look at what's going on in the manosphere, look at what's going on in my own world. And basically I was just a bear in hibernation. And a few people poked the bear while he was sleeping. And I will definitely bring up maybe a person or two. Is that passive aggressive?
Now that you bring them up.
Yeah, who poked the sleeping bear. So that is why small channels like this are important. Okay, guys, this is important. There's a lot of us that have these small channels, and our thoughts, our words are as important, if not more important, than a lot of these guys with these bigger, I call them bigger small channels. I won't even call them big channels. To me, a big channel is 1 million subs, 2 million subs. So these bigger small channels. So yeah, the sleeping bear was poked here. So I'm back, and it's Thursday night reality check. The real reality check. So we're going to start with passive aggressive behavior. I want to welcome everybody in the chat, Vivian, Emmanuel, and I'm not sure who else is in there. But let's talk about passive aggressive behavior. I notice quite a bit of this. I'm going to just read something real quick on what it is. Passive aggressive behavior is characterized by a pattern of passive hostility and avoidance of direct communication So basically what it is when somebody is hinting to you or beating around the bush, whether they're talking about you or just what's the right word? Just I guess beating around the bush is a great way, not confronting you. So, Gonzo, any thoughts on passive aggressive behavior?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the way a lot of women deal with things. It's just a common thing. Women are just a lot of the times they have high trait agreeableness, right? And so one of the things that comes with that is kind of just a fear of judgment, fear of not earning people's favor or something like, I think that's the best way I can describe it. But yeah, and it's something that I think now a lot of young men are dealing with, because they're kind of raised by single mothers. They're raised into that passive aggression, and that's what they understand as far as how to deal with people, how to deal with the world. But that's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to go at things directly, because it just causes a lot of problems if you try to do it another way.
So you're saying deal with confrontation, or
deal with problems,
deal with them up front, not backhanded. And I've noticed quite a bit of that. lot of shadiness, a lot of backhanded comments by different content creators. I'll start off with a passive aggressive move by Scooge. Is it Scooge what's his name?
Scooge Magooks.
Yeah, Scooge McGoose, which is Rollo Tomasi. Yeah.
Or is Rich Cooper?
Yeah, we all know his real name. I won't say it. I think that's been out there enough. So if anybody wants to know who Rollo Tomasi is, I'm sure that's out there. But about 3 weeks ago, I did a stream with MGTOW Dictionary. It was an interview. It was a good interview talking about Black Pill, talking about his philosophy, and I thought it was interesting. I don't agree with everything everybody says, but I did agree with quite a bit of what he says. And the Black Pill is supposedly the truth, okay? And I understand that. So I think that the original Red Pill was supposed to be the truth, but I think the Red Pill has been bastardized. That's my opinion. So anyways, I did this. If anybody hasn't seen it, you can go back. You'll see interview with MGTOW Dictionary. I think that's 2 videos before this, and it was interesting, and I think it was good. I think he's a smart guy. And shortly after that, I saw in my feed, I do not follow Rollo Tomasi, the rational male, and we all know a male is a immature man. That's what male is. It really doesn't mean anything, but I did see a picture of myself holding the Rational Male book in front of my home. Now, this was posted on Twitter. It was posted in YouTube community. It was posted on Instagram. And it said, saving lives since 2013, even my lying haters live. So he's taking the credit in saying that he saved my life. Now, I will say, when I look back through a text through him, I did say, hey, Rollo, you saved my life. And I am going to say that I was caught in the cult of hypergamy. We're going to go into validation. I was seeking validation. Nobody saved my life. I saved my own life. My life was not in jeopardy per se by suicide or anything like that. It was my form of validating the Rational Male book, which I think helps people. I think it helps men, but I think it's realistically 75% word salad garbage when you actually take a step back and look at it. Now, I did write a response after I saw this. I mean, he talks about doxing people, and this dweeb put a picture of my home on all his social media. So I wrote him a little letter, and I posted it on my Instagram. And I'm going to read it real quick. And it says, Dear Rollo, sorry, not sorry. I left the cult of hypergamy. It's amazing what happens when you think for yourself. The difference between me and a lot of men is that I will never lose my identity. And accountability is a big part of my life, something you ought to look into, Rollo Tomasi. I do not take it lightly when a man's life is changed or saved. I will never give advice, only support. That's what hurt, injured men really need. The truth is what matters, and sometimes the truth hurts. And of course, I'm speaking directly to him. I'm glad men and women are waking up, eyes wide open. I also added, I think it's time for a debate between MGTOW Dictionary, MD, and the Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi. What do you say, fellows? No ad homs, just facts and truth, man to man, time to step up. Now, where did I get the passive aggressiveness from Rollo Tomasi? I added him when I put that post in there. But he put pictures of me on his Instagram on his YouTube community and on Twitter without adding me. And I know why he did it. Okay? Because what it would do, it would push people to the channel, and the interview with MGTOW Dictionary is what it would do. That is the biggest example of passive aggressive right there. Would you guys agree? Not adding me. Go ahead and throw me up there. Have some balls. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, just kind of having a one-sided conversation.
It's a one-sided conversation with himself.
Yeah.
And when you look at that post, you see all the validation that he got. This guy lives off people saying, "You saved my life. You saved my life." Again, I don't take it lightly, but when we talk about saving lives, saving lives doesn't always necessarily mean taking the gun out of somebody's mouth or taking the noose off their neck. What it means, you change their life, or you made them see in a new direction. But it also, that whole cult of hypergamy leaves you in a loop that you'll never come out of. This guy wants to be a god, or he thinks he's a god. But his time is coming, because small channels like this are calling him out. So my challenge to you is, Rollo Tomasi, is to go on a debate with MD. Like I said, no ad homs. Do it. Step up. I'm sure MD would do it in a heartbeat. I don't think there would be any issues. But I've also, if you guys haven't seen the debate with him, I don't know if it's still around, with Sean T. Smith. He got destroyed, absolutely smacked, bitch slapped, you could call it. So, yeah, he poked the sleeping bear, and that's okay. Because I have no problem adding him in my post. So, Rollo Tomasi, if that is your real name. Yeah, exactly, Vivian. Ooh. If that is your real name, and I'm sure you're lurking in the background. We all know you're a lurker. And I'm sure you have all sorts of egg accounts and things like that. So do whatever you have to do. But yeah, next time, step up like a man, because you're a male. Step up like a man and at me. Go ahead and at me in your posts. And you talk about doxing. You put a picture of my home on your social media. So we'll deal with that at a time in the future. So, but that is your typical passive aggressive behavior in the manosphere.
Beta.
Yeah, no balls, no sack. And that is the biggest validation seeker there is. He is no godfather. As far as I'm concerned, he's nothing.
Beta.
There we go.
So there's been a few others too that have come at me, but I'll leave that be for now. I'll just let it go. But Primal Man, tell me about passive aggressive behavior. I want you engaged tonight in this conversation.
Okay, in short, women naturally do it. Okay, they get a pass for everything. We'll give them a pass for that. Men do it when they lack authority, when they can't just directly speak something and get their point across, or change the course of something that's going the wrong way. They have to play on emotion to get it, instead of just a word. And a good man, his word is valuable. And so he don't need to be passive aggressive, because people take him at his word. And they should take him at his word. Passive aggressive men don't have that authority. So that's basically it. I can elaborate more about it.
So let's say, so I think kind of what you're saying is a passive aggressive man really has a feminine trait to him, correct?
Passive aggressiveness is a feminine trait or a childish trait, because that's how kids manipulate their parents. So it's a childish trait and also a feminine trait. As an adult, it would obviously be a very feminine trait if you're, an adult. So yes.
Yeah, I want to welcome MD. MD, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Thank you. And I loved our interview. It was fantastic. I'm calling out Rolo right now, and I just got done with him. So I just talked about his passive aggressive behavior to me, which I have no big deal with, but I'll deal with that at a later time. But I'd love to see a debate, which I'm sure he will never do because you will absolutely destroy him. Thanks for coming, man. Really appreciate that. All right. Yeah. So passive aggressive behavior. I mean, it's a backhanded way to talk about somebody. You could I'll give an example. We could do a stream like we're streaming right now, and I could say, well, let me make an example. What would be a good example? I could say, well, I know this guy who met this woman, and he's totally cucked about her, even though she lives in another country, and he completely does whatever she says, and without saying the name. To me, that would be passive aggressive, because this person will know who I'm talking about, but I'm not really saying his name. Okay, so that's kind of a version of passive aggressive. Don, can you give me an example?
Yeah, a passive aggressive situation.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know, like I think of a good example. Elliot Holst actually gave a really good example recently. I'll steal his example, but he's like, if somebody comes up to you and they're like, instead of asking you, just like, hey, can I have like, some of your food or whatever? Like, you're eating your sandwich or whatever. Hey, can I have part of your sandwich? They'll say something like,
you gonna eat your cornbread?
Yeah, you gonna eat your cornbread? That looks pretty good. Hey, that I don't know. Looks like I don't know if you're gonna finish that. And so he was saying in his example, just the way to snuff that out is just to be like, oh well, you just call it out for what it is. Be like, are you asking for my food? Do you want to eat my food right now? But I think that's a good example. It's just like an indirect way. Like, instead of asking for what you want, you go adjacent to it. You just go adjacent to it. So yeah.
It's being I guess some people might want to call it non-confrontational, but it is confrontational. In fact, it's very just backhanded and slimy to me. So, but I am going to give examples of passive aggressiveness tonight, and there will be, I'm sure people will understand. The people that I'm beginning to be passive, and I'm doing it purposely. The people will understand who I'm being passive aggressive with. So,
I think not being honest is also passive aggressive. If someone asks you a question, like, what is the joke? Hey, honey, do I look fat in this dress? Passive aggressive is not being direct about it. Does she look fat or does she not look fat? Beating around the bush, I think, is passive aggressive. When you beat around the bush and you can't tell the truth, to me, that is passive aggressive as well. Don't necessarily have to be an attack, but it could come in a big form of dishonesty.
I mean, I think there's times when we have to be dishonest, we'll call it, because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, I guess. You don't want to you don't always want to, there's nothing like the truth. I mean, let's get real. But there's also times to where, like, again, honey, do I look fat in this dress? No, you look great. That's all. It's just plain and simple. You know, you pass by the truth to just to avoid that confrontation to make somebody feel bad. I mean, it's not, you know, I think there's times when in fact, I think Jesse had talked about this on one show. There's times of when you have to have your little white lies. I think that's important. You know, you don't always want to hurt somebody. So,
Well, because if you lie, it's not just about hurting someone's feelings. I think it's like if you sometimes lying could actually be a life or death, you know, situation sort of thing.
Mhm.
Like I think the example Jesse gave was that you could have, you know, some killer bust in your front door
yeah,
and be like, "Where's your wife at?"
yeah,
And you're not. Are you going to be honest? Are you going to be honest in that situation? Yeah. Yeah. And so,
yeah. So the reason I brought up this subject is because I've noticed a lot of, for myself, I've noticed passive aggressive behavior toward me. And again, I've already mentioned Scooge Magooch, whatever his name is, Rollo Tomasi. We all know his real name. We don't need to say that, but
Hypergamy.
Do you have any more, Gonzo, that we could hear?
oh yeah. I've got more. Let's see.
Break it up with
The soulmate myth, plate theory, cocktail herself.
That's Rolo.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and again, this is Reality Check Thursday night. This is, you know, if you want to call it negative, call what you want. You know, you could say we're bashing other people now, but you know what? If somebody attacks me, I don't mind attacking back. It's confrontation. I was confronted passive aggressively, and you know, that's okay. And this is how I deal with it. That's why I say, if you guys are watching and you have a small channel, get your word out there, because a lot of these smaller channels combined are more powerful than all of these. Again, I don't call them big channels. I call them the bigger small channels. So go ahead and start your own channel, get out the word, talk what you want to talk about, because guess what? It's YouTube, and it's what? Your channel. And that's what this is. Again, I took some time off, got poked a little, so now I'm poking back, and that's okay. That's my option. So let's say hi to the Bald Bastard, Josh Stevens, Peekaboo, Peg Bell, Vivian, Mighty Zane. I'm not sure who else is in there. We're going to open up the stream here in a little while. So also I want to talk about validation seeking, okay, when it comes to in just general life and in content creators. So let's talk about validation seeking for a little bit. What is validation, Gonzo?
What is validation? I mean, validation. Actually, that's a good question. I almost want to pull up Merriam-Webster on that one, but validation is basically the it's a I think it's a feeling that people get when, you know, it's a feeling that people seek out. That's what it is. It's when somebody gives you approval and you get this feeling of validation that what you're doing is good, or I guess it's valid. And so what I think happens is that people, you know, because they're emotional, they get hooked on that sense of validation, the compliments, the, you know, the "you saved my life" thing that we were talking about earlier, that sort of thing. And so people end up, you know, they try to create more situations and facilitate, you know, situations where they can receive that validation, even if that's even if it's a lie, even if it's totally like inorganic.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that a lot of content creators, they tailor their message to receive validation. Now, a form of validation, let's not get validation. I think validation can be confused with a compliment. Would you guys agree?
I think it's easily able to find the difference in the two. I don't see why it's a problem.
I think the whole validation thing really depends on how the person is responding, because it all depends on emotions, right? Because you can give a compliment with the intent to like give somebody validation, and you can receive it that way, but it varies, you know. It's a two-way street, so I think it can be.
I mean, what would be a form of validation right now? Somebody puts in the chat.
Hey, you guys just I don't know. Well, I hear people say this all the time, right? Like this is the truth. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard. You just like I just woke up the next morning and there's a new car in my front lawn, and I'm now a millionaire, and it's all thanks to you guys. I could not have done it without you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't live for validation from anybody. I mean, I really don't. I think compliments are nice. Maybe validation in my business. Let's say I finish a nice remodel. It's nice to hear somebody say, "Yeah, what a great job." But also, I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but probably one of the best compliments I've ever gotten on YouTube is probably about a month ago, and it was on one of my beard trim videos. And it was just a guy that said, "Hey, man, I don't, some of us don't have fathers." I don't quite remember exactly what it is. Some of us don't have fathers to show us how to do this, and I really appreciate this video. So to me, what a great compliment. I mean, that didn't validate me per se, but it was a great compliment. And I appreciated that. To me, that was the best comment that I've ever got on YouTube. It hit me really hard because it was genuine. But I don't live off that validation. I think when a lot of guys get to a point when their channels are bigger and they can't post something, they tailor the message to receive validation. Okay?
Yeah.
And also what happens too is that a lot of times when you have to take the comment or the compliment or the validation from somebody with a grain of salt, because a lot of times people are making a comment just so they can hear back from their content creator. It doesn't necessarily make it true. Okay? So it's like they're feeding off each other. In other words, if I say you're the greatest thing in the world, and you'll come back and say, "Oh, wow, did I change your life?" "Yes, you did. I don't know what I would have done without you." I mean, let's get real on that. So people live off this validation. What I've noticed is, especially exactly, BB, stroking their ego. Yeah. What I've noticed is there's a lot of stroking of ego in the manosphere. Okay. Now, when you go on some of these channels, and I've seen it myself, I don't watch much manosphere content. I allow myself one video a day, and I choose wisely when it comes to that. But what I find is that when somebody does ask like a hard question or a real question, say you were to ask a question, Gonzo, like, I don't know, let's just pick one out of the top of my head. You're in a stream and you say, "How do you deal with conflict?" And then somebody blocks you or deletes your comment. Well, you automatically know how they deal with conflict. They don't. They can't handle it. I mean, that's just a for instance, let's say that happened to you, Gonzo. So how did you feel, let's say, if that exact thing happened to you?
Well, I think it did, actually. I think that exact thing did happen fairly recently. But, I mean, that's the thing. I think for me, it's just you just understand what's under the surface when someone responds that way. I think it's I don't know. I like right now there's a huge call in the manosphere to be, to not be infighting and to not have like problems between people. And I think it's kind of dishonest. I think it kind of proves the point that that's not really what it's about. Because I mean, personally, this is just me speaking personally at this point, right? I may like have major disagreements with people in the manosphere, like major disagreements, right? But I don't really hate anybody in the manosphere. I don't have anything personal against anybody at all. Like zilch. That goes for anybody. I don't care if it's Rolo or Scooch Magooch.
She's not yours. It's just your turn.
I don't have a problem with any of these guys. I think they're wrong. But anyway, my point being is that it's just very revealing. It's very revealing when you see how you can just be cut off for having a differing opinion, which is exactly that environment that's trying to be facilitated right now. It's like we can't have any infighting. It's like, okay, well, there goes your free conversation. Suddenly things become off limits. Now we can't talk about certain things. That's what happens over time. So
yeah, so what happens is, like right now, everybody is, oh, can't we just get along? Because the reason we can't get along, okay, or people are saying the whole Rodney King thing, we all just need to unite and get along. The issue with getting along is that what does it do? It interrupts the income stream. Because the truth is no longer the truth is no longer important. That's the reality. Again, this is Reality Check Thursday night. The truth is no longer important. Who you associate with is no longer important. What does BB say here? They can't have a conversation that would involve intellect, compromise, and open-mindedness. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. It's something I like to say that I believe it was Owen Benjamin who had said this a while ago. And this is the issue right now we're having in the manosphere, and not only in the manosphere, but in the United States and the world. You can't even have a conversation about the conversation. Think about that. Think about how simple of a statement that is. You can't even have a conversation about the conversation. You can't even talk about something. Got a squeaky chair there, Primal Man.
he's getting his smokes on.
He's smoking on it.
He's smoking on it. Yes, literally.
Yeah. So when you talk about truth and you talk about uniting, all that, well, there's certain things that I think in this sphere of men, known as the manosphere, is that we need to call out these people that are doing wrong and not living a congruent life to what they're preaching. To me, that's really important. Think about a preacher. Think about Michael Foster. Okay. Would you guys all respect Michael Foster? I do too, in a big way. Hopefully he'll be jumping on here too. But so let me ask you a question. If you find out Michael Foster had a side piece, would what he says make any sense to you anymore?
What do you mean by a side piece?
Another woman on the side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that would be something he would preach. I mean, if he was preaching that and then he had that, then I would say, well, that's at least consistent. But no, I don't think that would be consistent at all with what he preaches. So no, I don't think he would be very honest if that came out.
Uniting the people with truth instead of dividing them with lies. Rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I love that, man.
Stand up.
Yeah, that every
Stand up.
appreciate that.
We should just start the show with that one of these days.
Stand up.
Bald Bastard says the manosphere is very feminine. Wouldn't you agree? Like arguing with emotional women, irrational males. I agree and disagree. I'm gonna go both ways on that. I think that I put a post up, said that the manosphere is still a very healthy and positive place if you know where to go. So everybody has that internal barometer, okay? I think there's certain parts of the manosphere, all women are like that. All women are bad. And that is, yeah, there it is. There it is, Drew. Agree to disagree. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, that is just, if there's one phrase I don't like, that's it, man. You nailed it. Yeah. So I think what's happened in this I want to address Bald Bastard's comment. As a man, you shouldn't run from conflict. Okay? Don't run from conflict. Face it head on. When you run from conflict, normally that's somebody who is passive aggressive. They're going to talk about it, but not directly. That's what you'll notice about certain manosphere content, people that don't want to deal with conflict. Now, again, being a small channel, I've had to deal with some conflict, and I'm okay with it. I gave my point of view at the beginning about Rollo Tomasi passive aggressively attacking me without adding me. When I say adding me, that means the @ symbol and my handle. He could have easily done it on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. But I know that he did it passive aggressively because, number one, he doesn't have balls. We know that. But he did that because purposely, so nobody would go to the channel and watch what MGTOW Dictionary, his version of the black pill and the manosphere that was going on. I thought it was, again, very interesting. So he passive aggressively attacked me, and I do call that an attack. Yeah, I did mention his name a couple times in the stream. I forget what I said, something about, I think the lead singer of his band was a girl, whatever, and I'm not sure if that's true. And I even stated that. So, and if it was, whatever, but he wouldn't admit to it anyways. So, but, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now is in the manosphere. I think the confrontation is necessary. I think that people need to talk, and sometimes you need to fight it out. I think that a discussion without ad homs and calling people names is important, but sometimes that's what happens. As men, you ever been in an argument, you guys, with somebody, and you've been talking, and then you'll say, somebody could say, "You bald motherfucker" to me or something. I'm like, whoa, what's that got to do with me not doing what I was supposed to do? It's just, did guys with just shaved heads do that? So those do come out as men, and that's okay. I have no issue with that. I guess it's all how you handle. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not easily intimidated or easily hurt. Let's just put it that way. So, but I think the confrontation in the manosphere is important. I think the draining of the mano swamp, we call it, is important. Okay, but we also need that discourse. We need that talking. I love that saying, Ivan Throne. So when the talking stops, the shooting starts. Okay, and what that means is that everything will go to hell if we stop talking. But also, let's say your certain content creator isn't living the life he says he's living. Does that make a difference to you guys? How about you, Gene?
Sure it does, yeah.
Tell me why.
either in my personal experience, either I respect someone or I don't. I can disagree. I can know you're a fraud, but still have respect for you.
Mhm.
I can know that you might not be congruent with your message, and I'll still respect you because I respected you because I respect you or I choose to respect you. Then there's people that I don't respect their message or them. So regardless of what they say, didn't matter to begin with. But yes, as far as affecting how I view them, the respect might not change, but me holding any sort of worth into what they say will definitely be tainted. Especially if I was listening to their content for guidance or advice from another man. It would definitely taint that. But the respect thing is a different issue, I would say. But probably just wouldn't listen to their content at all at that point. I wouldn't slander them or anything like that, or try to expose them or whatnot. I just wouldn't. I would see it, remember it, and move on.
Mhm. So you lost your respect for them.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean I'd lose respect for them. That's the point that I'm making.
Mhm.
If I see that your message is not congruent, I don't know what you got going on in your personal life. You could be projecting. You could be trying to move through something by projecting or heal through projecting. Therefore, your message won't be congruent if you're projecting something that maybe that you want to be or want to have. Will I watch your content as much? Probably not, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to lose respect for you. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, there was a thing about respect when I was talking to MD, and I said somebody has to earn my respect. And he made a really good point that respect is commanded, not earned. And I've been thinking about that for a couple weeks. What do you guys think about that?
I like it. It sounds good. Respect is
command, not earned.
Yeah, I like that. It sounds good.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, I was raised to respect my elders by default.
Mm-hmm.
Just right off the top. They're elders. They're older than you, much older than you. You respect them. Listen to what they say. If they say, "Hey, stop talking so much," listen to that. You know, as kids, you know, we used to run our mouths a lot. It's like, "Hey, you ever stop talking? Be quiet." Yes, sir. You know, it might hurt our feelings, but we always respected our elders. So that's something I typically, I feel like an elder person, someone older than me, automatically gains a sense of respect in my eyes just because they're old, just because they're aged. They have time, they have experience under their belt. Don't miss the point that I'm making, though. Doesn't mean that I agree, and it doesn't mean that an elder or can't be a foolish person. But I do like what the saying is: respect is commanded, not earned. I like that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me because those words are important right there when we say respect is earned. Now, you can earn the respect of somebody. Okay, let's say I think this comparison was made. You can earn the respect of your employer, but he can still fire your ass. So, did you earn his respect? No.
You earn the respect that he's willing to give you. That's it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That's so you really didn't.
You didn't gain the respect.
Commanded. In other words, you will respect me, or you'll suffer the repercussions. When it comes to manosphere guys, there's a lot of them that I have lost respect for. And I'm not going to say any names right now, by any means.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Pertaining to that? why are we respecting these men anyway to begin with? Oh, do we admire what they say? Do we admire how we think they might live? Are we putting them on a pedestal? What gives them the right to have our respect and then for us to lose it that easily?
For me, it's congruency. You gain my respect through congruency. Okay. And that congruency is what I command from you.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yeah.
I command congruency in somebody's message. That's really important to me. Congruency in their lifestyle. If somebody's telling you that you're going to, I'm going to coach you, and they're telling you what to do, and they're not living it in their own life, to me, you're wasting your time. I do have some I know in the black pill, never trust a dating coach. I think that's the first rule of the 48 laws of dating. I'm going to get that book, just so you know. I need to read that book. I want to give him. He's commanded my respect to read that book, so that is my next book to order this week on Amazon, and I will get the hard copy. I'm not into. I don't know about you guys. I like real books. I love books.
Yeah. I'd rather read a book than my phone for sure.
Ebook. But I mean, there are certain. I'll just name a couple of them. Like, probably my favorite relationship dating coach. I'm not say probably, but definitely is Pat Stedman. I love Pat Stedman. He's a good friend. He's been on the show a bunch of times. Pat to me is just. Pat to me is more real than a lot of dating coaches. And that whole dating coach word, I don't know, it kind of irritates me a bit. So I'd like to call Pat an advisor, a life advisor, a relationship advisor. I think that's a better term for him. I love watching his streams that he does on YouTube. So anybody check out Pat Stedman. If you want to see some really cool streams, Pat addresses a lot of issues for free. I mean, he talks about all different issues, and I like how he talks about energy. I like how he talks about. I think he's as real as it gets when it comes to that whole genre. I really like Pat Stedman. Another one I like is AMS, Alpha Male Strategies. Now, a lot of people might say, whoa, he's just the typical, but I don't think he's typical. He stays in his own lane. I think, I know him personally. I've had some conversations with him. In fact, I had a conversation with him about, it's probably been a month and a half, 2 months ago. We talked on the phone for, a couple times the same day, probably 30, 40 minutes each call. And I actually talked to him about we talked about some issues with somebody that I was dating. So I was just curious on his thoughts and his, the reason I like him because he's funny, but he had said to me, he said, make sure you and he was interested in what I was talking about my situation. He was interested. And he actually said, let me know how you fuck this up. And I haven't let him know that I fucked it up, but I will let AMS, Alpha Male Strategies, let him know that I did fuck it up. So, but I think a lot of these guys like AMS, I want to drop Steve the Dean Williams in there too. I like Steve. I do. Pat Stedman. These guys give plenty of free information. You can just watch. You don't have to pay. They put out plenty of content that I think is valuable. So
I want to know one thing. What dating coach dangles the best digital vagina?
I'm not sure that I don't understand the question.
What dating coach dangles the best digital vagina to his viewers? Who has the best digital vagina?
I still don't understand the question.
Dating coaches tend to dangle an imaginary vagina, right, over their viewers and say, if you just do this, if you just do that, if you just eat this, if you just buy this, then behind me there's a slew of young college girls just waiting.
Well,
waiting for your drooling and your animalistic needs to be met.
Isn't that the theory of game, though? I mean, isn't that the game theory? Like, it doesn't matter who you are, you learn game and you can pick up any woman, which is, we all know that's bullshit. I mean, let's get real. That's horseshit, you know?
Hypergamy.
Yeah, hypergamy. Hypergamy will put you into hypergatory, we call it.
Purgatory. Yeah. Monkey branching straight to hell. Yeah.
Scott, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. We got Watcher, Metron, Mobius. AMS, show us receipts. AMS is a good dude. You know what's funny is about AMS is that, you know, I saw one of his streams and he was out right there. He said, I like my women like Amazons. You know what I mean? But I mean, come on, you know, let's get real. Let's get real about AMS. AMS is he's a big, tall, buff, black dude. And yeah, he can get all the women he wants. I mean, let's get real. I mean, you know, regardless if you go out, what do they call that when you're out in the field? What do they call that? Infield. I think they call that infield videos. So, you know, the infield videos don't always work, but you know, I believe that, you know, if that dude's in a club, yeah, I think women would be attracted to him. I don't see why not, you know.
I don't know, man.
Well, here's the question.
So,
I've got a question for everybody.
Go for it.
Okay, so if you could pick, I just thought this was amazing, right? If you could pick up 2 women at the same time every single night, is that a blessing or is that a curse?
That would be a curse. Yeah, that would be a curse.
Because I see that too sometimes in the manosphere.
What do they call it? Pre-selection or something?
I have no
Pre-selection
idea.
when chicks see you with other chicks, they're like, oh, he must be good. Something must be good about him. Chicks want him. He must be good.
No, that's not pre-selection. That is there's another term for that. I can't remember.
Hypergamy?
Yeah. No, it's not hypergamy. That's social proof.
Hypogamy.
No, that's called social proof.
Social proof.
Social proof is when, you know, let's say a guy will go out with a pretty girl. Okay, let's say you're on a date. And I mean, social proof works. I mean, that's the reality.
Isn't that the principle of like having a wingman or something?
Yeah.
Kind of. Or
kind
a
of.
wing woman or something.
But you'll notice that social proof is when you're on a date with a pretty girl. Yeah, you're going to automatically be more attractive to other women. I mean, that's the reality. Some people might not agree with that, but that's the reality. I mean, I've experienced that myself. That's a non-issue, you know. But I also think that, you know, some big fat, you know, loser, overweight, rich guy with an 18-year-old stripper, that's not social proof. There's a big difference there. And I think social proof also is important with the dynamics. You guys follow me? In other words, if you're with a woman and you're enjoying a good evening out, you guys follow me on this? And there's that connection and you guys are in your own world, okay? That's different than just being out with another pretty girl. In other words, as a friend. I've experienced this with friends of mine. You follow what I'm saying? I think a lot of guys think that if they go out, like one of their friends is a pretty girl and they go out with her, that's going to bring other women in. But that's the farthest thing from the truth. There's that connection you have. In other words, people can see when you're with a woman and she's looking at you or she's talking with you, okay? And other women will pick up on that attraction, okay? That's what social proof is. Social proof isn't just being out with other women. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what he was talking about in that situation. I think it was like he was literally just saying like, oh yeah, like this guy he can pick up 2 women at once every night. And
who is this?
oh, this is I think this is Donovan Sharp talking about Myron Gaines.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it was very. I thought that was funny because I'm just like, who wants that? Like, are there people who want that?
You know how to pick up chicks in any given situation with one simple move?
Yeah,
Go
you
to
just reach
Texas.
under them. You reach under them and you grab them.
Go to Texas, find a saloon in a small town, wear cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, walk up to the double doors, just kick them as hard as you can, and just walk in and just holler, woo! Or just give a cowboy, holler. That's how you pick them all up. Now I'll just be like, oh, he's commanded so much respect. Now I'll just come and just like worship at your feet.
Like, from experience.
Yep.
Now I think you're being a little. I think that's definitely.
I just had to put that out there. Try it. Don't knock it till you try it.
I don't think that'll work. I'm just saying.
Just film it and share the video with us.
Yeah, do an infield for us. Do an infield.
All right, I'll do it.
Infield.
I'll do it.
Need receipts.
Receipts.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If you are a dating coach or a relationship coach, I think there are certain receipts that are important. I think that's important, don't you?
Can a married man be a dating coach?
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, you could help guys who are in the field. Yeah.
That's why I think there's certain guys like I say, Stedman to me is one of the realest guys out there. I love the way he talks about energy. I love the way he talks about feminine energy, masculine energy. I love the way he talks about he talks about he can talk with anybody from a young guy to an older guy. But I think he keeps it real, and I think he's more grounded too because he is married. But he's also spent time in the dating market. And he takes a lot of heat. I look at it this way, is that Rollo Tomasi can't stand him. And basically that's his nemesis. So he's doing something right. Let's put it that way. It's not all about hypergamy, that's for sure.
Hypergamy.
Vivian says only successful married men should be dating coaches. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you. Bald Bastard says, I date my wife every day. Good for you, man.
Vivian said kicking doors open is hot.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a divide because when it gets that question of like, can married men be dating coaches or whatever, I think that just kind of actually perfectly illustrates the divide in the manosphere because on one hand you've got guys who want something long term. They want something that's more permanent. They want something that's it's going to last the rest of their life. And then I think especially with younger guys, like you've got who you were talking about earlier, You know, these guys they want the one night stands. They want to basically just lay as many women as possible, and that's basically the goal.
The problem is they think that's what they want. It's not
Yeah.
actually what they want. They just think they want that.
But that's, I think, a divide. So it's the goal. I think it's the goal is where the real divide is at right there. So I think you can. I think you can be married. You can be a dating coach. You could be single. You could be a dating coach. But you know, at the end of the day, I think it just kind of comes down to what is the intent. What is the intent of the dating, right? What's the intent of the relationship?
I think that's the most important thing when dealing with women is your intentions.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question.
Passive aggressive, right? That's not showing your intentions is passive aggressive.
A simple thing. What is dating?
Dating is the worst thing that's happened to modern man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of like dating is. I mean, if we're gonna keep it real simple, it's just getting to know women,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, woman getting to know a man, and yeah, I don't actually. Let me check. I'm gonna check the Merriam-Webster on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between courting and dating.
I think maybe
with Watcher Metron Mobius here, dating is effing right now. Yeah, I think that is the manosphere definition of dating.
I agree.
Yeah. What? I just the first result on Google says date. Establish or ascertain the date of an object, and I was like, not the right date.
I mean, if you let's say you guys, you know, Primal Man, you're single, Gonzo, you're single, and you meet a woman, and she says, "Well, I'm just dating now."
If she says that, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Gonzo, play your clip. And you know which one I'm talking about.
I think I know exactly the one you're talking about.
She's not yours. It's just your turn.
They need to have an isolated one, a cock carousel.
Fuck carousel. Anyway.
Hey, John Boston. Bald bastard. Look at the divorce rates among Middle Eastern cultures. They don't date.
Yeah.
Are they good or bad?
Very good. They don't divorce because they have what they call that prearranged marriages. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether you agree with it or not, it works.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you. Here's like the most antiseptic definition of dating I've ever seen from Wikipedia. Here we go. Get ready for this, guys. This is for all the. Oh man.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Gonzo has given us the Merriam-Webster definition of dating right now.
Yeah. Or actually, this is the
What can I come here
Wikipedia.
for?
Yeah, this is Wikipedia's definition, actually. So this is like the most antiseptic thing I've ever seen. Dating is a stage of romantic relationships practiced in Western societies whereby two people meet socially with the aim of each assessing the other's suitability as a prospective partner in the future intimate relationship. It represents a form of courtship consisting of special activities carried out by the couple, either alone or with others. The protocols and practices of dating and the terms used to describe it vary considerably from society to society and over time. That's dating.
And that's Wikipedia.
That's
right?
Wikipedia, yeah.
That's exactly what I expected from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Michael Foster, welcome.
Hey,
I see you have a guest.
this is my wife, Emily.
Hi, Emily. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Michael Foster, we started the show out with passive-aggressive behavior validation seeking, and I added, since I read your article that you sent me, manipulation. And I think that manipulators, I think that all ties in together perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about those three things: passive aggressive behavior, validation seeking, and then manipulators. You couldn't have sent me that what do you want to call it? Is that a blog post, or is it?
It's like it's like a collection of posts I wrote. I put into a little ebook PDF sort of thing.
Mhm. Okay. You couldn't have, that was perfect timing. I read that before. I think Gonzo, you checked it out?
I did. I didn't get a chance to go through it in detail, but I looked through it.
And
quickly.
that ties in so well with validation seeking. Okay, because I think a validation seeker, content creator, they live off this validation, but they have to manipulate and tailor their message to get that validation. I mean, once I read the first page when you sent me that today, give us a quick rundown on that article that you wrote.
So in the Christian church, a lot of men end up pastors that are power seeking. They're after power. And they often can't make it in metric-based leadership. In other words, leadership where you have to demonstrate the quality of your leadership, right? Mm-hmm. So I work in sales, I've worked in collections, and in all those, I have to demonstrate how good I do as an individual or the people that are part of my team. So at the end of the day, there's something I have to live up to, right? I have to hit my quarterly numbers, my monthly numbers, whatever. In the church, no such numbers exactly exist, right? And so a lot of guys end up in the pastorate who want to have power over men. It's the one place where they can feel like an alpha, where they can feel strong, in control, and they can kind of posture because they've got this pulpit. And there's a reason they call the pulpit the bully pulpit sometimes. And it's a way for them to feel like a big man where they can't anywhere else, right? They can't compete in athletics or in the gym, or certainly not in the workplace, in the marketplace. But now they've got this pulpit that elevates them and gives them this sort of we've got a clock that makes bird sounds here. But anyway,
it's my clock.
It's my wife's clock.
I'll take credit for it.
I'm not a fan, but nonetheless, these guys are attracted to it because it's a place where you can get authority, where you can get respect, validation, without actually being that masculine and having mastered things. Okay. Now, the same thing exists in social media right now, because you don't have to have the receipts, right? The proof that you do these things. Now, some of these guys get in real good shape, and I respect that matter. You want to be in good shape. But let's be honest. If all you do is lift weights and stream, it's not that hard. Those of us that have multiple responsibilities, I have 2 jobs, a bunch of kids, a farm, all these sort of things. That's not all we can spend our time doing. But they do get some things right. But also there's a lot of fakery going on, a lot of big talk. You'll see pastors do this that will they'll kind of redefine masculinity. So it happens to fit their description and not the more common descriptions. And you see these guys do the same thing on social media. And in terms of passive aggressive, like if I have a problem with you, Tony, and you're in my church, I'm going to call you up and say, Tony, I'd like to meet. I have this issue. I want to resolve it. Right. So now you know what we're going to meet about. And we're going to get together and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to resolve it, or we're not. But we're going to have a talk. What I'm not going to do is have a sermon that week where I passive aggressively describe you without naming you, and more or less make my sermon about you. Okay. I hate when pastors do that. I think that's weak. I think that's something sissies do. I think men deal with it straight up. Right. And I don't use my sermons to beat people up as individuals. Right. I might beat up groups because when I'm preaching a text in the Bible, if it's dealing with that issue, I'm going to deal with that issue, right? You see the same thing again in social media where people are hinting at who they have a problem with, passive aggressively, but they won't deal with it straight up, right? They won't come at it straight. It's always and it's effeminate because see, women aren't designed to enter into physical combat. I mean, you watch any of those fights online that you see like come your way off Twitter, you go down some YouTube rabbit hole and you're watching chicks fight. And you're like, that's not how we fight as men. Men, when we deal with conflict, we deal with it straight up. Women, when they deal with conflict, they deal with it from the angles and not as straight. So they use covert language a lot. Where men, we typically use direct. So direct language is the default for man. There's a time for language to be coded, enigmas and riddles, the whys in their riddles. There's a time for that, but that's not an everyday sort of way of speech. Speech as a default is direct. Women will women are the masters at compliments that are actually insults, right? Oh, wow, you look really good now that you've lost that weight, or something like that, right? There's insults where guys will straight up tell a guy like, hey man, you've kind of got fat, or I didn't know you were into chicks. I was starting to wonder. Like we'll hit them right up, right? Or when we insult them, it's not even real, but it's like we're ribbing them. But guys are a little more direct. So when you take that sort of indirect angle, stealthy approach, that catty sort of approach, that's much more like a woman, which is not fitting to a man, right? So feminine is good on a woman. Feminine on a man is effeminate. It's not good, right? It's like it's not good for a cat to bark. It's not good for a dog to meow, right? Like we have our natures that we're to walk in. And so I think the manipulation we see in Manosphere, a lot of it is just because the guys are insecure men who have gained this pulpit, which is YouTube, huge YouTube followings, websites, whatever. It's a pulpit. It's a place. And a lot of them don't have to prove the receipts. And they've got these, I call them bots. Early on when we started It's Good to Be a Man, I'd refer to them as Rolobots. I'd get Rolobots all the time, and they would say the same thing. Hypergamy, divorce rates, 70% of all, divorces are initiated. But I mean, I've heard these things like a billion times. And I'm not saying that these things don't have a place. They're not valid. Then obviously I think they all do matter. But you would see these robots that anytime I challenged anything about Rolo, like his inability to understand philosophy, the guy has no clue when it comes to religion and philosophy. I say that as someone who has degrees in religion and philosophy. I do that for a living. But I would criticize it, and not even in a nasty way. Like, hey, I think he'd be a lot better if he did this. Because I think Rolo, as a researcher in certain areas, is very talented. I think anyone, regardless how you feel about him, like this guy is very talented in those areas, obviously. But anytime I would say something negative about him, the Rolobots would start shooting out this insanity, right? And that's because these pastors of the manosphere, if you want to call them that, these cult leaders, they get these fanboys who are desperate for the validation of an alpha male, right? They just what they want is their dad to say, hey, I'm proud of you. I mean, that's what most men want. I'm proud of you, son. You did well. And these guys are so desperate for that. A cheap retweet or retweet on Twitter, or a like, or whatever, it gets them all proud, right? They're like, oh, a real man loves me, right? A real man respects me. And so what we have in the manosphere right now is the same problem we have in the church. A bunch of weak, posturing dudes, or guys that are not the men they claim to be. They're not all that weak. I don't want to overstate my case here. With guys that are just are weighed down by father hunger. And these men that are weighed down by father hunger are super easy to manipulate. I see it constantly in the church. They're constantly manipulated. I was to some degree, and then I woke to it. And when I woke to it, I wrote a series of posts that I made into that little PDF. Y'all feel free to reach out to Tony to get it. I told Tony you can give it to whoever.
Yeah. I was actually trying to find a way. I was going to post it in my YouTube community, but I can't post it. So I think I'll post it. I'm going to actually screenshot it and post it because it's really good.
Whatever you want to do with it, however it's helpful. But I see this. I see the same thing playing out in the manosphere. And at 21 this fall, one of my speeches is all going to be on this topic and the problem of it. And I want to make it really hard for fake alphas, for fake fathers to make it in the manosphere. Not because I don't make money off this stuff. I don't even care. Like, I mean, you don't either, Tony. It's liberating, right? Not to have our money. Like, we could have our show and like we have 13 people watched, but you and I are kind of similar where maybe on YouTube we don't have a huge following, but we're friends with all the people, right? And so we know we have influence. I think what I'm most concerned about is what's going on with men right now and how can we help these guys. And what I'm seeing more and more is just the compounding of the problem of fatherlessness. So those are some thoughts on it.
Let me respond to this. No. And that's a hard no.
Hey, Mike, just real briefly, when you said men are getting manipulated in church, what do you mean by? I missed it. Say it briefly. Exactly what you said.
So there's a lot of different ways that men are manipulated. Probably the most common way is you'll have these kind of pastors say man up. They'll tell guys to man up, and it almost always means beta up. It doesn't actually man up. It doesn't mean get excellent in your vocation. It doesn't mean get in shape. It doesn't mean lead in your household.
It means compromise.
That's right. It means compromise. And if they really meant what that phrase should mean, I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
But rarely is that the case.
I agree. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Gonzo, I want you to ask a question. I think you asked. What was the question that you asked that you were blocked for?
Oh yeah, how do you handle conflict?
Yeah. There's a question. Hang on, I'm going to block you, Michael Foster. Yeah. I'm going to block you, Gonzo.
Amazing.
Is that the question for me?
That's the question for you.
Yeah.
So look, there's two types of ways of dealing with conflict that shows that you're afraid of conflict. One is to ignore it. The second way is to try to overcompensate and stomp it out, right? So men learn to live in tension with people, right? That's one of the biggest things we have. One of the gifts we can bring to humanity is the ability to live in tension. And so what that looks like is when we're in conflict with someone, we keep a cool head and we don't resort to throwing fists, whether it's digital or like real world. And so a lot of times when we're like insulting guys, we're trying to figure out how to deal with conflict, right? So like there's that movie 40-Year-Old Version where they're teasing each other. You know how I know you're gay? That whole like exchange in that movie. That's a man trying to figure out, can a guy take a slight? Can he take an insult and not overreact? Right? Can he like keep a cool head in tense situations? And so any guy that like immediately gets crazy offended and over, like he's a weak man that doesn't know how to deal with conflict. So the way you deal with conflict is you deal with it straight up. You name the issue. You see if it's a misunderstanding. Because a lot of times it's just like talking past y'all, talking past each other. And some of our arguments we get into are just stupid. And, sometimes like, we'll get these guys that come on your show that try to lecture me about the Bible. And I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I'll get annoyed and I'll come at them all hard. But I shouldn't do that. That's actually not.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You know what?
It is, but you want to be measured because you want to like what I want. You don't want to win the argument. Mm-hmm. You want to win the man. Mm-hmm. Right? That's
a great one. Guys, I'm gonna use that one now. Do you hear that, Primal Man and Gonzo?
Oh yeah.
You don't want to win the argument, you want to win the man. Man, I love that.
That's what the conflict is, and that's what I've seen. Look, I'm not gonna get bogged down in the manosphere wars here. Okay. But what I would say is you want to win whoever gets the most people out of it wins the most men. I guess that'd be to be specific. Is the one that wins, and that's what you understand as a guy. Like sometimes as a man, you have to allow another dude to save face, right? You have to, and you start to learn that's like the way to resolve the conflict is like I gotta let this guy get out of this without feeling like a punk. And if I don't do that, like I always tell people, always leave a way of escape for your opponent, unless you can pull off total destruction and you want that. And that's hard for people to realize, you know. And the example I give people is boxing. Everything for me is boxing. But I've seen a lot of boxers where they get a guy in trouble, like in the second or third round, and they start throwing bombs, right? But they don't have what it takes to get the guy out. And then they punch themselves out, and they leave that dude alive, and that guy ends up winning a lot of times, you know. Anyway, you want to be able to finish what you start. And
is there a time when you just have to destroy somebody?
Absolutely, but make sure you can. You know, if you're going to go to war, make sure you can win, or don't go to war. I mean, Jesus literally says that. Jesus says you need to count the cost before you build a tower, and you need to count the cost before you go to war. And that's we need to say, can I finish what I start? If you can't, don't start it.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's say somebody posted a picture of you on Twitter, YouTube community, and Instagram, and said something about you, but didn't at you in that picture. Would you call that passive aggressive?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I'd call it sniveling and weak.
No, okay. You just called Rollo sniveling and weak. Good, because that's what he did to me.
I mean, I wouldn't do that with a guy. I deal straight up with a guy. But, I mean, honestly, Rollo Tomasi is a good author. Mm-hmm. He's written one good book, at least. We'll go that. Maybe two. But he blocks everyone on Twitter right away any moment they challenge him. Mm-hmm. And based off some very glancing critiques, I think he blocked me. And I wasn't even trying to be disrespectful or anything. You know, I don't care to fight with people on Twitter. That's not what I use it for. But I think that's not a good look for anyone. I certainly block the obstinate people that are just there to troll you and give you trouble. I get it, but you know, be able to.
Michael Foster, you might interrupt book sales. Now we don't want that.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I was blocked a while ago, and I'll be straight up why I was blocked, because we'll just say I was playing middleman between my brother and Rollo Tomasi. I'm trying to solve discrepancy in an argument.
That sounds pretty miserable to me.
And yeah, it was. It wasn't fun. But I thought I solved the issue, and then he wasn't a man of his word. Let's put it that way. And then he blocked me, which I could care less, because I have as many egg accounts as he does, so I can see whatever.
I think also I see a lot of guys that getting catty in arguments, I think, is weak. Having arguments, I don't think is weak. Mm-hmm. And so in all the things that have been going on the last couple of months with 21 and CME and the different people or whatever, I really have seen a lot of men that I'm guessing grew up without a dad or grew up with a very angry dad. And I remember I had this young man come to my church plant years ago. So I planted a church back in 2005, and he did not believe, and likes for me, Anthony, you papist heretic. But also what I want to say is this guy came to my church plant, and he didn't believe that scripture was all true. He had trouble believing that it was inerrant or without error. And it just came to me in talking to him. I said, can I ask you a question? Did you grow up in a home where there was a lot of fighting and a lot of arguing? He was like, it was just constant. It was like constant arguments, my mom and dad and my siblings constantly. And it occurred to me, the reason this guy had trouble with believing the Bible is true is because he wanted to find a way to please and placate everybody and to remove tension. And I think people that grow up in broken homes and homes full of fighting and division don't know how to deal with conflict. It brings them back to who they were as a kid and some miserable, truly miserable experiences that they, as I grew up as with a mom and dad that straight up argued in very nasty ways, probably 5 out of 7 days a week, every month of my life. Right. And these guys would just straight up just go at each other. And I think a lot of guys I see in the manosphere are coming from broken homes and from that experience. And when conflict comes up and arguments come up, it's almost like they regress to their childhood and they just want to get out. Oh, mom and dad, just stop fighting. That's what you feel like. And you're like, no, look, it's okay. We're having a disagreement. It's all right, man. It's okay for men to disagree. It's okay for men to get heated. Like a matter of fact, if you want to build the respect of another man, you go to war with them, right? You go to war with them. I mean, how many of our friends have we gotten in fights with? Straight up fights. Mm-hmm. My best friend Quinn growing up, he was the best man at my wedding. Quinn cut my throat open in this fight, and I had to go to the hospital. But I kicked him in his balls, and I beat him in his arm till his arm wouldn't work. And then we ended up we all got in trouble. And so when we came back after I went to the hospital to get my throat stitched up, we drank a bunch of beers together. We were like, this is before I was a Christian. And I was like 16, 17, but we just laughed about it. We laughed. Hey, remember that time I kicked you in your balls? Remember that time I cut your throat? The fights build respect when it's straight up, right? Like you watch a boxer or an MMA guy that talk crap the whole week up or the whole months up to the fight. And some of them straight up don't like each other. They do. It's not just a show. Sometimes it's showmanship, but sometimes it's real. And then if they go hard at each other for like 10 rounds, you know what I mean? At the end, when they hug or they hit each other's fists at the end of a fight, that's real respect. And so many people in the manosphere are men that are trying to figure out how to be men. And they've never, when they go into those fights, they don't know that this is how you get respect from other men. Most men don't mean to destroy you. We just want you to defend yourself, explain. And so a lot of what I saw with this sort of CME 21 divide, as I've looked at some guys, I'm like, look, I don't want to get deeply involved in this too much, but it doesn't faze me either. I wish everyone get along. I wish the world was a perfect place.
I mean, I was the first one to bring this out. I don't want to say to public, but after the reality is Anthony was attacked twice by Donovan and he did nothing. And it was on a Wednesday that he was on Bulldog's show. And I brought on Steve the Dean Williams. I brought on John Sonmez. I brought on Anthony Johnson. And it was quite a show. I mean, it really was.
Yep, I saw it.
I was able to reach these guys and let these guys, give them a platform. Our good friend Ivan Throne, again, one of my favorite sayings, now compared to your new saying, is when the talking stops, the shooting starts. And to me, that's reality right there. So the fact that as men, we can go back and forth. And again, I was saying earlier, even when you're fighting, a lot of times, if you're having an argument or discussion with somebody will say, okay, you bald son of a bitch, and I'll be like, okay, well, you just called me bald or whatever. I'm actually not all the way bald. I actually shave most of my head. So that's not true. So when the talking stops, the shooting starts. I mean, that's the reality. So being able to discuss these things, whether it be in a public forum or a private forum, I think it's very, very important as men to do that and give your point of view and give your opinion and not be afraid to say it.
I agree with the conflict thing. I just don't think 99% of these men are worth going to battle against. I mean, they're not worthy opponents. if you don't have respect for him before the fight, that's you just
I
it's like fighting with a kid.
I understand that, but my issue with is that when somebody's taking advantage of injured men that are reaching for help, that's the issue that I have.
Yeah.
My DMs on Twitter and Instagram are open, and I've had a lot of guys reach out to me since I've said, and I've kept everything private. There's nothing that I discuss. I don't bring up anything that anybody has asked me, and I do appreciate everybody reaching out to me. I don't give advice. I give support. Michael Foster maybe is somebody that can give advice. I think that my stand on this is that I'm going to support you. I'm going to be there for you. And that's it. That's all I can do. And I think sometimes that's more important than giving somebody advice.
Yeah. I think it's important to not have an echo chamber.
Yeah. Let me, I want to go back to this comment here. Tony's brother gave spotlight to a woman who, in my eyes, is very wicked, shaming men in the manosphere and here to give herself attention. We all know Carolina, right? Gonzo and Man. We've had her on the show one night. I think we played guitar and all had a great chat.
Well, that's right. It was that show, wasn't it? It was the guitar hour. Yeah.
And there's nothing against Carolina. Carolina, I think she means well, but she put herself into a man's space that she can't handle. I've seen her over the years try to jump into the Rolosphere and try to give out her point. She was blocked. She was, I've seen her jump into my brother's streams and then she dove into the black pill. And then the black pill now recently kicked her out, from what I understand. So she's a searching soul. And, I kind of feel for her. She's not blocked here. Carolina, if you're watching, you're not blocked on my channel. I think I had you blocked a while ago. I unblocked you. But she does this thing where she publicly, how do I put this? She publicly breaks up with you. She's done that with the Rolosphere. She's done that with my brother. She's done that with me. She's done that with the black pill. She publicly announces, I am no longer going to watch your content or whatever. So Carolina, I have no idea what to say to you, but you're welcome here. If you ever want to chat with us, you're welcome. I've seen this. Are you familiar with her, Michael Foster?
I am not.
Okay. But I did want to address that comment right there about Carolina. So I have nothing. I harbor no hate for her, no whatever. But I think the only thing I could say to Carolina is stay in your lane, man. Stay in your lane. So
stick around too. The manosphere is transforming. It'll be a lot better soon.
Yeah. Let's.
Because let's just face it, she's looking for a man. They all are.
Frank Pesci, what's up, man? What's up? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
What's up, Frank?
I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. If anybody wants to jump in, you're welcome. I'm gonna pop it in there right now. So you're gonna click the chat, come back, or click the link, come backstage. I will verify you, and if you want to talk with Michael Foster, myself, Gonzo, or Primal Man, come on and because this is Thursday Night Reality Check, passive aggressive behavior, validation seeking, and manipulation. They all tie in together. So I'm going to bring on Watcher Metron. How you doing, man?
All is well. How's everyone?
Good.
Hey, bro.
Yo.
What you got to say, man?
About what? What was the topic again?
Well, the topic is passive aggressive behavior, validation seeking, manipulators. I mean, you've been watching for a while. What do you got anything to say on what we've been talking about?
Sure, yeah. That is that we're all validation seekers. I'm a Christian myself, and the Lord didn't make us to be separate from Him, so we definitely need the Lord's validation and everything that we do. So I think people mistake, God validation for people validation, and it's a very easy mistake to make. And passive aggressiveness, it has its place. It's a tool because we're not warring. We're not warring like we typically would in the past. With different tribes or with T-Rexes or saber-toothed tigers per se. So we all have to. We all just can't go around saying to people's face, hey, you're an effing idiot and you're stupid and you're this and you're that. I mean, you're gonna, socially, you're gonna burn a bridge with that person and everyone that they're connected to. So you have to find ways to politely tell someone to, hey, please, F off. So it has its place in the social environment that we have today.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying validation is a good thing or a bad thing?
It depends what it's for.
Let me ask you a question. Is it okay to validate the validation seeker?
Yes, I say give people what they want to a reasonable degree, because I want someone to get what they want, and then if it's what they wanted, great, they got what they wanted. But if it's not what they wanted, I want them to say to themselves, wait, I got what I wanted, but is this really what I wanted?
Mm-hmm. Suffer and die.
Exactly.
Michael Foster, you want to respond to that? I'd love to hear your take on that.
So in scripture, you have fear of God and fear of man. The word fear means, so there's two types of fear. There's a slavish fear. That's like that's the kind of the word where we think of fear, like someone's going to like destroy you. But there's a filial fear, like a family-like fear. So when you're scared of your dad, when he's going to come discipline you, you don't think your dad's going to kill you. You know your dad loves you. And so after I discipline my kids run to me for hugs. They don't run from me, So fear of God is the one of the main characteristics of a Christian. Matter of fact, fear of God is the beginning of all knowledge in the book of Proverbs. Fear of man is where your behaviors are based off the approval of men. And I really think Robert Glover in his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, does a real good job at breaking down how this sort of validation takes place in men who have been oriented towards seeking female validation. So their behavior is all about making people like them, because they think when people like them, that their life will be friction free and they'll get the things that they want. And so that's not good. I don't think it's good at all. I try not to give people what they want. I don't even care about what they want, if I'm just honest. I do try to give people what they need and what is rightly theirs, right? So there's a basic respect owed to people, basic dignity owed to people, basic deference owed to people based on, especially if they're older or weaker or a woman or whatever, the way we relate to people is based off their stations in life. But I don't want to give people what they want necessarily. I think it's important to think like, what's the right thing to give someone and give it to them. And so I think validation can be very destructive. I think seeking validation from the Father, as in Father God, Yahweh, is very freeing, where the whole world can hate me, but if the Lord loves me for the stand I've taken and validates me, it's easy to stand against him. And so the Apostle Paul, when he was facing his preliminary trial before Caesar Nero, he said, none stood with me, but Jesus stood with me, right? And that makes you incredibly strong And so I think a lot of men grew up in a situation without a dad that teased them in a loving way, that disciplined them in a loving way, and made them work for the things that they wanted in a good way. They grew up in an environment of emotional manipulation that was femme-centric, with women that tried to educate them as women, as you would a girl and not a boy. And these men now, as they've matured, have a very feminine outlook on life, and they're very much looking for approval of others to know that they're the good boy. So I think that's very destructive in our culture, and as a Christian, I say that as well. So watch your Metron Mobius, WMM. I'm going to call you from here on out. That I don't think you're all wrong. I think obviously not all validation's bad, and we should validate. Say, yeah, what you desire, what you did was good. That's what we mean by validate. There's a time we should say that, but there is a sort of validation that we want to deny people, and a sort of validation we should not be going after. If that makes sense.
Let me ask you a question, and this is a personal question for myself. What about validation, say, to your wife or to your girlfriend? How important is that?
I like knowing that my wife supports me and thinks what I'm doing is right, but there are times where my wife and I have disagreed, and I've done it anyway.
How about validation to her? In other words, her seeking validation from you. How important is that in a relationship?
Yeah, that's important to me.
I want my kids to know I love them. I want my wife to know that I love her and that I appreciate her and I appreciate her work. And I do try to show them appreciation even when they make mistakes or do something that's not right. You know, our relationship's based off grace and repentance and off love. It's not based off everyone having it perfect and getting it right every time. And so I think making sure people know that the relationship is not just transit. It's not just based off transactions, but based off promises to each other, covenants, is pretty important.
How does that translate to a boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody you're dating monogamously? How does that translate? The reason I'm asking you that is because I consider that I've had a failed relationship recently because I didn't give the validation that was, I think that it was needed. I think that I backed off on that when I should have. Does that make sense to you?
I think so, a little bit.
I'm big on accountability.
I think everybody's looking for some feedback at some point because we aren't confident that what we're doing is right, especially if we come from broken families or bad relationships. And we're looking for something to tell us that we're on the right track. Mm-hmm. And when someone's trying to show you, when you see someone and that their intentions are to be helpful, to be pleasing to you, even if they make a mistake, you have to be bigger than it and look at it and say, okay, I get it. This person maybe didn't do it the right way, but had they known to do it the right way, they would have. Mm-hmm. Right. And they just made a mistake. And so you say, hey, I really appreciate what you did. And I think that's great. This would be more helpful next time, and you redirect them. And I think we should validate people because people just want to know, like, you appreciate me in this relationship. Mm-hmm. And if that's what we mean by validation, demonstrating some base level of appreciation, yeah, when someone does something good or attempts to, and then you sit down and redirect them. And if they do it, so let's say their intentions were good and they just didn't get that what they were doing was actually not good. You sit them down and say, hey, what you did was great. What you tried to do was great. This is why I didn't land the way you wanted, but I want you to know that I love you or I appreciate you. If you're in a dating relationship, you might not want to be throwing that love word around. Mm-hmm. And then you redirect it. And And then if they're like uncool, if they overreact, like, well, you should appreciate whatever I do. If they think their intentions is all that matters, then that's probably not a good relationship to be in.
Mhm.
But if they see that you respect their intentions, but the particular form it took was not helpful, and they react to that, well, then that might be something to build with, right? Because that's a mature person, and that person knows that you actually cared, but the reason you didn't react that way. I can't think of a particular example, but I hope that makes sense. And I do think you want, look, there's no way to get through this life without taking relational risk,
Mhm.
putting yourself out there. And I think a lot of men who've been burned through divorce and through bad relationships, or men much like some of the guys here who understand just how animalistic women can be, right? And have no delusions that women are angels. It can be hard for them to enter into a relationship and be vulnerable as a man. They'll think it's weak. They'll think showing emotion and validation is weak. But it's not necessarily. Not if it's someone that's trying to help you. My wife is my helpmate. She helps me. I need her. And I always tell people about, so Xenophon was a Roman, I think a Roman or a Greek, a Roman who wrote a household manual just a little bit before the time of Christ. And in it, he says, without my wife, I would die. And then all these romantics, they read it, oh, it's so romantic. But actually, Xenophon wasn't saying that in a romantic sense. He was saying that he depended on his wife to actually survive. And I depend on my wife to help me raise my children, to manage my home. I make the money. Emily and I sit down and talk about the financial goals, but she's the one that manages the bank account. I have all access. It's not like I don't have access. I can do whatever I want. But she's the one to day. I appreciate it so much. She's the one doing the main education of our children. I still am a force in their life, obviously, but there's a division of labor between us. And it's important that she knows that I appreciate her and I need her, because I do. And what I want to say is that in a dating relationship, you start to build that. You start to build that trust. You start to, got a kid coming up here right now, but you start to show them that appreciation that lays the foundation that you'll build on later in a marriage.
Do you think that there's certain parts of the red pill that for me, and this is personal, I don't mind talking about this, is that there's certain parts of the red pill that I don't want to say don't make me vulnerable, but there's certain parts of red pill, black pill philosophy that, and basically manosphere philosophy that keeps me standoffish. It keeps a guard up when sometimes I need to let that guard down when I know things are right.
It keeps you selfish.
It keeps me very selfish. And again, a failed relationship recently, I had to take accountability for that because I had something that was good, something that was to me was it was something that I enjoyed, but I didn't give that validation and that approval that was necessary to propel that relationship further.
I think game is for people from broken families.
Mm-hmm.
I think
unhealthy people.
So look, I'm not anti-game, right? But what you want to do, you want to integrate it and be natural. And people from solid families, actually behave in such a way that is, this always stuck out to me in The Game by Neil Strauss, where he's talking about him and Mystery and how with Mystery is like telling him how to relate to women in this way or that way. And he's got this line where he talks about how finally he's becoming the man that his friends and relatives never help him become, right? And I thought, like, man, ain't that some truth right there? Like, Neil Strauss is being very vulnerable and telling the truth. Is that he actually he was socially inept, and he grew up missing something. And so a game's done, guys have discovered the triggers, the natural triggers in men and women in particular, that God has put into them. You know, so I think there's tremendous wisdom in
isn't game really just social skills? I mean, I think that's really,
it kind of is. It's some of it's social skills, but it's also like recognizing that what women want and don't want. And hey, will you move that light a little bit? It's a little strange. Just move it upwards or something. I don't know what's going on here. But what I think is women are attracted to men that got it going on. They've got control in their life that they don't. I was just on a podcast with a bunch of guys, and I was talking about all the hot chicks with white trash Joe Dirt looking dudes out here in Owensville, out here in Batavia. So these guys don't have muscles, right? They're not big ripped dudes. They haven't followed Tanner Guzzi's The Appearance of Power. These are like Joe Dirt looking dudes with mullets, driving like some big old pickup truck with mud flaps. And they got this girl on their arm who is good looking by anyone's standards. She's good looking. And I'm like, dudes in Twitter couldn't handle this. They couldn't handle this reality. Primal, you down there in Louisiana, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
that's me. I'm just working on the mullet.
You're working on the mullet. You got to get the Billy Ray Cyrus. But what's going on there is those guys, when you talk to them, and I have before, I grew up around those sort of good old boys. What's going on with them a lot of times is that they're just very motivated. They've got they know what they want. They want to work on the farm. They want to work in the factory. They want to do the stain. They're driven, whatever. And women are attracted to men that have a mission, that know what they're doing. And these guys, they didn't read no book. They didn't take any course. There's no Gumroad stuff, no $50 PDF that they pay for. They're just guys. And so I'm not, and so don't hear this as me being anti-game. I'm not anti-game. But what it does, it turns some men into androids. And I had like some guys that are calling me for counsel, like, I've been reading Rilla's book and I've been watching this, and I'm an Asian guy and I'm only 5'4". What am I going to do? Right? Because girls want to marry a guy that's taller than them. Well, look, I know some tall girls married to some short dudes. Like, stop being a robot, man. Right? Like, be yourself, get on mission, build up your business, figure yourself out. And when you're out on a date, have a hell of a time. Right? Have a good time. And so I think a lot of stuff is just very mechanistic, very robotic. Hey, you know, Gonzo's got to go, so I want to back off for a moment so you can say solo.
Gonzo, you still there?
Oop.
He was there.
I'll be back. Okay. So,
all right.
maybe.
So that he does the thumbs up and says, I'll be back. Like Terminator 2.
Yeah. I just had an oven crash land into my house from space. So
That's
no,
not
I'll be
good.
back.
Huh. That's a story for another time.
Yeah. So I'll be back. Cheers, guys. Keep it going.
All right.
I'm loving it. So.
But that's what I mean by game. So what I think a lot of times guys get like stuck. They get stuck in their head and they think about it too hard. And, you know, like, so as dating coaches go in the manosphere, the best dating coach is Pat Stedman. When you go to guys that aren't explicitly Christian, and when you talk to Pat, and I have before, Pat's very organic and kind of like chill. I mean, as a man, Pat just kind of like strolled.
Were you listening earlier? Because I said the exact same thing.
No, I didn't. But it's true. Anyone that knows Pat, Pat is like, he walks around like strolling, looking at like, isn't the world beautiful? That's how the guy is, you know? And And so when he gives dating advice, he's always kind of a calming influence.
Mhm.
I feel like that's what a lot of men need. Like, hey, you're overthinking this, man. You like this girl? Let her know, right? Like, don't. Well, what if she thinks I'm weak? Well, then she thinks you're weak. What are you gonna do? Like, you're about to lose a relationship, and you might lose it. She thinks she's weak. So, like, it's whatever. Like, let the chips fall they may, man. Be real.
How do you deal with a guy like myself who sometimes builds a wall when he doesn't need to? Because I think what's happened is that in my life, especially I was saying the past 3 or 4 years, I have, and I take accountability. I have destroyed the possibility of good relationships with a few different women.
I think you're in your 4th quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what I tell all men that's in their 4th quarter. I tell them all, finish well, man. Slide into home, right? Go all in. Let the chips fall where they may. And been around, psycho. Based off the woman, your last relationship, the way you described her to me, for you, it seemed like there was some real potential there, and I think there was something lost, and it's not the end of the world. But I know a lot of men like you, a lot of men in my own family, and a lot of guys that have seen a lot of things, and later in life, I should say, you've matured, and I think I would say finish well. Slide into home, go hard. All these young punks.
I mean,
these young punks. Who cares?
The one thing that I have no issue with is meeting women, and I mean, and I'm not bragging, but I could have a lineup at this point right now. I could shoot a text and
Sure,
have a woman here and within an hour. In fact, I talked to Primal, man. I'll be, very exposed right now. But this afternoon at the ATM, I met a woman at the ATM. That easy, because I complimented her on what she was wearing, and I could tell by her body language and the way she responded to me. It was instant. It was instantaneous.
sure.
It was a simple compliment, is what it was. So, again,
it reminds me of the guy you and I talked with. We won't say his name here, but the guy that did the security detail at 21,
Mhm.
and who I immediately liked.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I talked to him, I found him so refreshing in his honesty. Like, it really made you and him both you guys made a big impact on me at that. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know what? These are people that want something real. I mean, I think that's what hit me, because I asked you guys some hard questions.
Yeah, I remember that.
And y'all didn't like give me a hard time. You gave me very honest answers, and it built like immediate respect for me. And because I was like, I wasn't coming in there like I had my disagreements or whatever, but I was just gonna be very honest about it and not try to like stir up trouble. But as I talked to y'all, I was like, man, these are guys that are looking for what every guy is looking for,
mm-hmm.
right? Something significant, relationships that matter. And and then, our friend, I don't know what happened with the girl he brought, but he had done his time as a PUA, seen some things, and was kind of done with it. And he brought that girl there, and she was a delight. She was very beautiful. I don't know if they're still together or not.
I spent time with him this weekend. I spent Saturday night at Sock's house with him, his girl, same girl.
A lovely woman, very lovely woman.
Anthony, Will Spencer, Elliot Hulse.
Wow.
And it was a great Saturday night. It was something that I needed, to spend time with men and guys I haven't seen in a while, and to have a barbecue and to me, it was one of the best nights I've had in a long time.
Well, Stock's partner He doesn't like when I call it his wife.
Yeah.
Her wife.
Yeah.
But she's a delight too.
I love her. Yeah, she's
She is. She's a good woman.
yeah.
And I think some people don't understand why I spend so much time in the manosphere around guys who have been or are PUAs. And the real answer is simple: is as I've spent time with them, I've found a lot of guys that are actually trying to figure out what life's about. They're like on a journey. They're after something. They're motivated. They're not passive, and that's been really good. And so what I'd say to anyone like you, I would say what Sock has, what our security guard friend has, I think you can have.
Mhm.
And I think you can finish life. You know, I was talking to a guy that was a MGTOW guy.
Mhm.
And I'm not MGTOW in the slightest. I'm not here to hate on the MGTOW guys. That's not me. And I said, look, he was in his 40s. I was like, are you telling me if you met a woman in her late 30s who'd been married, divorced, maybe some notches on the belt that you don't want, but you guys connect and you're happy and she respects you, you respect her, you guys understand each other's relationships with each other's children, you wouldn't marry that woman and finish your life with her happily if you connected? He's like, I think I would. And I was like, well, then do it. Then do it, man. I mean, we live in the ash heap of society.
You know, there's one thing when I talked with, I had a great interview with MD MGTOW Dictionary. He was that earlier, and I've got a lot of respect for him. I really, really do. I don't agree with everything that he says. Of course, you know, I have my own.
MGTOW Dictionary and DDJ is not the same person, are they? They're different?
No.
They're different. Okay, yeah.
It was going to be an hour interview. It ended up being 3 hours.
That's right.
I haven't streamed in about. It'll be 3 weeks this coming Sunday. The last one was with Ivan Throne. But there's a lot of things that he said that I wasn't quite sure of MGTOW. You know what I mean? Same thing with DDJ. I think what both of them said in the long run is that basically it's a good place to be and a good place to when you're making a transition. It's a good thing to go your own way and take care of yourself. But then it's okay to leave.
Yeah.
In other words, like certain parts of the manosphere, and we'll call the Rolosphere, they don't want you to leave because when you leave, there's no more income stream. There's no more
ditch. It's a ditch, not a pathway.
Yeah, it's not a pathway. So leaving MGTOW, DDJ said the exact same thing. I love DDJ, and I love MD from MGTOW Dictionary. I know they go hard on people, but that's what they do. That's their purpose in the manosphere, as far as I'm concerned. That's their purpose. You know, I called MD the assassin of the manosphere. You know, that's how I introduced him, and he is. You know, but I have a lot of I have respect for him. We had talked about that earlier. That I had said in that stream, I had said that people have to earn my respect, and I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, and he said, well, respect isn't earned, respect is commanded. And we talked about that earlier in the show, and I've done a lot of thinking about that simple phrase. And I've got to agree with him now that respect is commanded. It's not earned. What do you think of that?
Well, so a lot of guys, this is going to be hard for some men to hear, but a lot of the guys I deal with are weak men, and that's why they're having problems in their marriage. When I'm dealing with Christian guys, and I'm always trying to tell them that, look, it's hard to respect someone that's not respectable. You want your wife to respect you, be respectable. And I'm not, and so some guys say that and they're just trying to beat a dude up, but I'm not trying to beat him up. Like, I'm willing to help him. And I'm not there to hate on him or anything like that. But I know in my own marriage, in my own life, that I've had to up my game. I've had to make more money, and I know that I have to drive the discipline of my children and the discipleship of my children. I know I do. And it takes a ton of energy, right? Especially when there's 7 of them. And not that my wife doesn't do that, but I know that I got to stay on top of it. And women, when you get married to them, they change, and they're very They're very driven, and they can be hard to keep up with as a man, you know? And so I got a lot of these guys, and I'm like, look, you want your wife to respect you, but you suck. You suck, dude. I tell you that as another man. You're fat. You're lazy. You've got a middling job, dude. Like, we got to up your game. Like, come on. Like, I'm just a brother being straight with you. Okay. Like, you know, and I've had friends tell me some hard things, and it's been super helpful because they weren't like out for blood. They're like, hey, since you bring it up, you know, let me tell you, like, I think your wife's right. And so I think, yeah, respect is commanded. And that's what a lot of guys, you know, anytime I require anything of men in the manosphere, some autistic loser, blue pill idiot tells me that I'm hating on men. And I just think, man, I am for you, right? Like no one knows the greatness that comes out of you when someone holds you responsible. Like, so Tony, you know this. You and I both have been athletes at times in our life. I wrestled, boxed, and played football were my main sports. Mm-hmm. And a coach, man, he will push you to the edge. You know, I mean, my wrestling coach would say, Foster, if you keep wrestling that way for me, I'm going to kick you off this team, you pansy. And then I would go out there, I'd run the suicides, I'd lose the weight, I'd win, I'd beat the guy, I'd pin him, and he'd be like, good job. And that good job meant the world to you, right? But you got so much crap. He pushed you so hard to the next level. And I think guys have dads that are kind of pussyfoot around. Dads that don't like, my son's like, hey, Dad, can I do this? And I'm like, no, you can't. Why? Because I said so. Because I love you, and you're not going to do it, right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to mow the whole lawn, right? Like, you start setting these high goals and pushing them. And but no one's had a dad do that nowadays. They're coming from broken families, or if the dad's done it in some sort of weird like power trip, you know. And so I just think what so many men need is just someone to say, you're good. I love you. You're doing a good job. Now go harder.
Boost their confidence. These dudes have zero confidence. They need a confidence boost.
Yeah. And then say, look, you don't have to be a fat, weak loser. And you are one. But you don't have to be one. You don't have to be. I'm with you, man. I'm part of this. We can do this together. But you are beta. You are soy. You are not what God made you to be. It's okay. Men need to hear that, and someone just put their hand on the shoulder and let them know you're with them in the battle. I think at its highest point, that's what the manosphere is at time. I see men show each other masculine compassion, right? Like, look, I get you, brother. I'm with you, but you got to go out there and get it, right? Like, that's masculine compassion. It's never like just stay the way you are, but also pressing them. And I think that's what we need. We need fathers. We desperately need fathers in our culture.
I mean, I think a lot of times on this channel, that's what I feel like as a father to guys. I've had guys reach out to me kind of, you know, younger that have, you know, and to me, it's not a form of validation. To me, it's a compliment.
Yeah.
I do appreciate when somebody reaches out to me. So I think, I think a shortage of fathers in this world is a big deal, you know?
Absolutely.
I've got a quick question here. Watcher Metron Mobius and Primal Man. How about men with autism having problems dating? That's quite a question right there. I saw that earlier. That's quite a question.
It's like the whole manosphere.
Yeah.
I meant to be on mute. I'm sorry. I meant to be on mute for that one.
Even better. Salt in the wound.
That is, you know, it's funny you say that, but that is a reality, you know. And we're not making light of autism by any means, but
no.
I think that say somebody does have that disability, boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one right there. I don't even know how to address that. I truly don't. I don't have any advice for that because I don't give advice. I give support, but you know, all I could say is what Michael said earlier was keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
You know how many chicks would be with an autistic dude and find it hot? Seriously.
How many?
I know dudes out there that can tell you everything about something and they're autistic. Star Wars, whatever it might be. There's a chick out there would sit there with you all day and hear that and then be like, you know, swooned over it. So just don't make it a problem. That's what I told them. Don't make it a problem. Make it a benefit if you can. I know it might be a problem, but don't make it a problem. Even more so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think if you're watching this show, you're pretty high functioning Asperger's or autistic, right? So we're not talking about low functioning. My mother's a special ed teacher. I've spent my whole life around people with autism. She, for a time, specialized in autism. And one of my good friends was autistic and knew every covered bridge there was in America. And, it was pretty intense. Wait, what? But what I would say is that I think so. I've read that autism is the male brain on steroids. And I think that's pretty helpful. It's a very exacting brain, given the science, given the methods, or the mathematics, given to like.
That was Darkblade's comment, and he said, "Yes, I am." So
yeah,
he's autistic. So
what I would say it's they tend to look at things like a STEM mind, like STEM as in like academics. They tend to look at things very robotic, mechanistic. And what I would tell anyone with autism is to try to deal with dating in broad principles and not control every element. And so if you look at it, there's a good Christian book out there, kind of the Christian Manosphere, a book by Stephen Casper, who's called Deeper Strength. He had a blog that was real popular called Deeper Strength. And his book is called The Masculinity Blueprint. And I got his book because a friend recommended it to me. He said he thought this was the best of the Christian red pill. So I read it, and it was very like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, right? It was like very like mechanistic. And what I would tell autistic people is I think when you're applying game, you have a tendency to overthink it and try to break things down to steps and sub-steps and multiple steps. So if you're having trouble in dating, you're probably over applying that stuff. Because to man's point, I do think women are attracted to masculine men, and I think you can be masculine and autistic. I think that's something that's impossible. I think you can have Asperger's and be autistic. I just think what you have to work on is not being obsessive compulsive. That comes from more anxiety. And dealing with broader principles and not trying to micro manage or engineer the steps of game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know what happened to our other guy here. Anyways,
Who else wants to join?
He's gone. Yeah, if anybody wants to join, you're welcome to click the link. I got it pinned to the top of the chat. You're welcome to join for sure. So
I'd be curious if Darkblade gets what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear what he has to say. You know, I've only dealt with it a little bit, so you know, I'm open to learn here.
He said yes, very much honestly. So
Good.
cool. Yeah, and that's why we're here, is to talk this stuff out, you know. And that's a tough one. Think of somebody with a physical disability or even a mental disability that is autism. Would that be a physical / mental disability? I guess it's kind of both.
Well, nowadays we're not allowed to say any of those things, but more or less, it's that a part of a man's brain is kind of turned up, and another part of his brain's turned down. Hey, I got one for you, Tony. This is a message. When I first started speaking this, a guy sent me an email. He had lost his entire penis in a car wreck, and he wanted to know what to do, how he was going to have a normal life. So I emailed him back and said, "You're not going to." And I explained some steps you could take, but
that one hurt me right there. Jesus.
Yeah, right. He's like, "I've lost my entire penis and I can't get it back." And I was like, he's like, "Can I have a normal life?" And I was like, no, you can't. You can't. And as a Christian, he was a Christian. I was able to point him towards a resurrection, like a brand new body, everything fixed. But we get in these worlds, we get some really hard questions. People have had some things happen to them or done some things that have lifelong consequences.
Yeah, that one, boy, when you said that, man, I clenched my legs together. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yikes.
There's that great scene in Band of Brothers. He's been shot and he looks at the medic and the medic's like, "It's still there." Like he's been shot all over. He's like, "But do I still have my penis?"
That's a tough one. Yeah, I felt that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring on Dark Blade real quick, okay? And I'm going to let him talk to Michael Foster. Dark Blade.
Hi, I'm Dark Blade. Nice to meet you guys.
Hey,
can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, very well. Very
awesome. Yeah, I just heard about the show from 21 Studios, and I decided to go, "Oh, hey, I'll join you guys."
Good.
Yeah.
Tell us about what's going on. I mean, you're the one who we've been talking about the question that you asked. So
yeah, I'm a person that deals with Asperger's, and it's difficult meeting people my age. I'm around 26, and I have problems. I can get this girl and get her talking, and then it never happens. And I do overthink things. You are very correct about that. And you know what I mean? Sorry, I'm not the best at it.
No, go ahead, man.
You're doing just fine.
Doing great.
And I'm just trying to relate to people and try to figure it out. I do have Asperger's, but I do well socially with people, and I try to get to know people. Luckily,
you adjusted to me, man. You seem pretty normal to me.
Yeah.
But I do overthink things. So to me, it's like even myself, I later on want to try to help people with Asperger's with the dating scene, because I do find that to be a big issue right now, even with the manosphere. What would I do for a living?
What's your aspiration, vocationally speaking?
I really have wanted to work with animals. Actually, I'm very, very down to earth about animals and taking care of them. I don't consider myself conservative. I consider myself moderate, but I care about making people happy, and I don't really focus on myself. That's why I'm trying to get help right now and try to get better.
So I've
always
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. What were you about to say?
What I was going to say is one of the biggest steps men can take, just in relationship with other men and with women and all that, is just having a really ironed out direction for their life. Especially in terms of vocation. And so if you love animals, being a vet tech, being a veterinarian, whatever you want to do, being a trainer, something like that. I don't know what direction you want to take it, but I would urge you to double down and go for it. I mean, women like men that know what they want and where they're going. And that would be a great step forward for you, I think.
Thank you. I want to actually just mention something that does fully go with this, but that really does have to do with feminism today with my generation, because it's gotten to the point where it's getting pretty bad.
Here we go. Don't even go there.
No,
It's
go
your
ahead.
All right.
Let's hear it. No,
It's
no, I
your
want to hear it.
first
Go ahead. Let's hear it. I want to hear it. That's good.
Yeah, I
Not
definitely
really.
wanna hear it.
I find it that we're not. They're just. I can try to talk with a woman, and then they'll just shut down completely because it's over all these matches and just everything right now, and even trying to talk to them. It's not even just. It's not even wanting to build families. It's going out with these really alpha douchebags. They're going after all these things. They're going after guys like the fresh and fit guys who are just trash, who 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 are not even really helping the manosphere
No,
right now.
no, they're not. They want you to think that they are, but they're not.
Yes, and I agree. I was watching them like these guys are pathetic. They're not doing anything but starting issues.
Yeah.
What I would tell you, Dark,
And I know that
what I would tell you is that men on a mission, men with a clear purpose for their life, are rare right now.
yeah.
And you can say that good women are rare, and let's say that's just true, okay, for whatever. And what I would tell you is that be rare as well, and and get a drive. And my life is not my wife. She's a central part. Like it would wreck me not to have her. But I had a life before her, and if I die, she'll have a life after me, and vice versa, right? And you need to know what your life's about and where you're going, and have a drive for it. And then you invite a woman into it. So
Sorry.
that's all right. So you know
I was
how
looking at the comments. I'm sorry.
you understand how gravity works. So gravity,
Yeah.
so space-time is like a mattress. And if you take a bowling ball and you drop it into a mattress, it presses down. And when you throw a marble around it, because of the dip in the mattress, the marble goes around it, right? So with gravity, mass shifts space-time. As a man, you generate gravitas. It's an old Roman virtue. So gravitas is dignity or weight. And when you have dignity or weight, you have a pull to you, right? So you've been around men before. We all have, who have some sort of dignity and weight to them, and they pull people towards them. As a man, you develop your gravitas, your weight. And that comes usually in the process of pursuing some dignified end, a job. You're gonna be the best veterinarian. You're gonna be the best horse trainer. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, in process of it, you develop gravitas, you develop weight, and that creates a gravitational force in your life that attracts women to you. Women are attracted to people that have. So if in Christianity, the word glory, doxa, is something like weight. So God has weight to him. So his glory is so much. And so if you think of something like the sun has a glory to it. It has incredible mass, so much so that it holds our entire solar system in its orbit. As a man, you want to develop the same sort of gravity that draws people into it. That comes by developing character, discipline, and character and discipline comes as you go after something that presses yourself hard. And what you don't want at the center of your universe is a woman, right?
Yeah.
No,
I completely agree with that. That's one of my friends. She's been saying that recently. Really close friend of mine, and she's amazing like that. She's been saying like she's like, I was about to say my name, but I don't want to say it. But she was like, you need to focus on yourself. You need to build yourself, and then we'll figure this out because I know you'll do fine.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to have a mission that you call someone into, right? And a woman, the reason jerks get the girl is because jerks they want to go somewhere and they don't care if the woman's coming or not, and that attracts a woman.
You know, I had that situation happen to me recently with a girl, and I was just so frustrated. Like, why are you going after this douchebag? You literally go back to this cheating guy, and you're literally becoming a thought. And I've seen this. She was going to other men. I was like, dude, go with someone that can treat you better. And it's just like, this is terrible. And like, you won't even give me a chance to get to know you. You just run back to this guy. And I'm like, it's so frustrating.
It's because a douchebag is superior to you. You need to come to terms with that. In terms of his drive for a mission, he's superior to you. In terms of his virtue and ethics, he may not be, right? He may be a bad person. Yeah. but he knows where he wants to go, and that attracts the woman. And my attitude is, I'm going to do this, and you come or you don't come, or I'm going to do this. And so you have to get so riled up about something in your life, that whether they come or they don't, you're doing it. And that's the problem. Our culture. How old are you? You're 26?
Yeah, I'm 26. I just turned 26
All right.
yesterday.
Here's what they want you to do. They want you to jack off to porn so they can keep you pacified. And they want you to take all your masculine energy and put it into video games, because the biggest risk to a tyrannical government is men that build families. Because when you build a family, you have a stake. And what you got to do is stop looking at porn. You got to stop looking at video games, and you got to build something amazing. And you can absolutely do it. So you're a chubby guy. I can see that. But I know chubby guys that have built amazing things. They've gone very far. And these are guys that are just passive. I know a guy, a very close friend of ours, Ed. He's an amazing man. And he's never lost weight. But he has a beautiful wife. He's built a beautiful family. And it's because he's a man of vision. And he's a man that's done great things. And you have to get a vision for your life that's bigger than women. Women and sex.
I agree with that.
Are funny, right? You want more sex? Don't think about it. Like, you want more sex?
You know what's funny is I actually want to mention something about this real quick. And it's funny about me about relationships. I've never really wanted to look for sex. It's more like I want a companion. I want to build something really beautiful. I want a family. And it's that traditional caringness. Sex to me doesn't matter. I can, trust me, if I've had chances where I can date someone, I've rejected them because I'm like, I see this negativity where I'm like, it's not worth it. I just want to find love, and I'm not going to get it through you, and I know it's not right, and I rejected it. And I was just like, no, I'm not even going to try. I'm like, you're a psycho. And she was gorgeous, by the way. And it was just like, I was like, I'm not going to do this. But here's the funny part. I was still in my feminist. I was a feminist back when I was in high school. And a lot of people didn't understand that. But again, that's my generation, sadly, where they teach men to be weak and not strong. And oh my God, it's disturbing how bad that has gotten in schools, just even studying it. And just like, I've wanted to change it. I was talking about that with a couple of my friends. I'm like, this is getting bad. Like, to the point where men are getting destroyed.
Can I ask you a question, Darkblade?
Yeah, sure.
Let me. You have a YouTube channel, yes?
I don't post anything right now. I want to start soon.
Let me ask you a question. Why don't you start streaming and talking about these issues?
I don't know. I've just been very nervous about it, and
yeah, but you're right. And I look at it this way: is that this stream tonight, the fact that you're here, this stream was for you tonight.
Really?
In other words, if we're just talking to you, the best thing I got on this stream tonight was you coming on and talking about it.
Really?
And the reason I'm saying that, because there's many guys out there just like yourself that would love to hear that message you just told us. And that's why I said at the beginning of this, these small channels are more important than
the bigger channels.
I
fully agree.
So the fact that you came on here, you felt comfortable to talk to us. You don't know us.
Yeah, I'm the type of person that's always been comfortable.
Imagine what you can do for another guy that's in the same situation you're in.
And I see it. I see it.
That's what I'm encouraging guys to do, is to speak up. You know, there's so many things in the manosphere. There's one of the things that MD had talked about was about confidence. You know, you just got to have confidence. You just got to have confidence and go out there. But the issue with confidence, and there's a lot of things in that stream with MD that I've spent the last couple of weeks really mulling over. And confidence comes not from failing, but from succeeding. Okay. Does that make sense to you? Make sense
a little
to you?
Bit here and there. Yeah.
Man. In other words, you can have a confidence in the world, doesn't mean you're going to succeed. But that confidence comes from you succeeding at least one time. And then you know you can do it again. So
I agree.
Just having confidence is not the right thing. Having
Oh,
confidence.
100%. And that's what they teach nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. But having that confidence isn't always, I hear that in the manosphere. Have confidence. This is how you're going to meet a woman. Confidence.
That doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. Confidence comes from succeeding, not from failing time after time. So somebody like yourself, to create your own channel, I will promote you in my YouTube community. I'm sure Primal Man would too. We would promote your type of channel. So don't be afraid to get your word out there at 26 years old and talk about the issues, because you're going to find that you'll have a community of men that will come to hear what you have to say. I mean, I think what you had to say tonight has been great. What about you, Primal Man, Michael Foster? I think the fact that you came on here and talked publicly about, any issues that you're having, that needs to be shared, not just with us, but with other people that are dealing with the same issues. And you'll find that what I've noticed, if I've ever been in a down place, that when you help somebody else, that's the best thing that you can do.
Oh yeah, I'll be honest. One of my best friends, he's going through a very abusive family situation where I'm like, every single time I'm like, dude, you can come over and stay over at my house. I don't care. You can stay over with my family because I live with my family. Situation, money reasons right now, with everything being tight, just me wanting to live at home. I'm like, I have a spot. You can come and stay every once in a while, just to get away from your family, to be honest, a very abusive mother, and. And I don't like it when people get abused. I don't like it when people are sad. I don't like it. To me, it always offends me, because I'm like, we shouldn't put people down. And nowadays I see this where we're so like, look at, I'll be honest, a guy like me who I just see how people act with Tinder and just all this bullshit, all this dating advice, all this control that everyone wants. It drives me nuts. Like I see people trying to say a word, or, oh, I'm against crazy feminists right now because they are getting bad, and I am, but I'm not against women. I think women are very strong. It's just that feminism is just such a bullshit thing that's really screwing up everyone right now. And it's just like, I keep hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, we need to treat people with kindness and see for men for their are. Oh, and then when we have the spin-off new red pill people that fucking Rolo made and fucking Fresh Fit, I see these dumb red pill idiots that are doing nothing but causing more issues. Oh, they're trying to offend the bimbos they invite on their cast. It pisses me off. They're not helping. They're making things worse.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even going out of the way to help people. They're making things even worse. They're even ruining the manosphere worse than the feminists. In my opinion.
You have to understand that there's that loop. That loop will keep guys. You have to keep guys in this loop, and you're going to lose revenue stream. You're going to lose book sales.
I don't care. I don't care about money.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. That there's like Michael Foster had said, it's a ditch. It's a ditch, and you have to be able to. What better thing as a man to help somebody, whether you're a MGTOW, whatever label you want to put on yourself, and
I don't put a label,
but you can leave and you can leave and you can prosper. You can live a good life. You've got what you've taken what you needed out of the manosphere, and you moved on. But that's acceptable to a lot of corners. You have to stay in this corner or you're no good. Ivan Throne, we had him on a couple weeks ago. He had said, Ivan Throne works with a lot of men. He's in Costa Rica right now. And what he said is, when a man leaves like his group of his circle of people, he's excited about sending that guy out into the world. In other words, they've made the changes. They did the things they needed to do to move on. And I think that's important in the manosphere. Like for me, doing these streams, I got to work early in the morning, but to me, this is important. The fact that you're on here, this made my night, because I'm going to say tomorrow when I think about this, I'm going to say, okay, I'm thinking of Dark Blade right now. He came on, I don't know if you've been on a live stream before, but
No, this is actually my first time.
You told your story and you're doing great, but somebody like you needs to make sure you put what you're talking about now, put that out there to the world, because there's so many guys, there's so many more guys that are probably in the exact same space that you're in.
Yeah.
And you might be surprised at how many guys that you can help get through the same exact.
I've seen it. And I've seen these men think so blindly, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I feel so bad for them. Like, I was hearing people complain. I was hearing people go like this, oh, that's and that. And then I just see how it acts. I see how things are getting worse. And I see a light seeing through one of my friends. She's amazing. Like, an incredible person. Someone I could never date on purpose. Just her and I have a brother and sister relationship type of thing. We just were very, very close, and she's helped me through a ton. And she's very, how to say it, very, very good person. And I want, you know what I mean? I just want good to happen more now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're looking at this right now where I see these people, like these really, really just the manosphere and area, like where there's two steps in the manosphere. There's this side, which wants to help. Like, I would also consider Honey Badger. You guys know Honey Badger Radio, right?
I don't know him. No.
Sure.
Honey Badger Radio is actually a group of women who do a manosphere thing with men too, and they actually get a lot of famous people on. They're a little bit smaller, but what they've got, like Kara Strong and some really, really good people, similar to Paul. What's his name?
Paul Elam.
Yes, I love Paul Elam and them. I think they're incredible. I think they're incredible talkers and stuff like that. I love their podcasts, Here to Men. If I need, every once in a while, I listen to them, and it's always good hearing their advice or hear their stories that they talk about and what they talk about, because they deal with real emotions that we don't deal with a lot today.
Can I make a suggestion to you?
Yes.
Can I suggest a book? Read Last Battles by Michael Walsh.
All right.
Or Last Stands. Michael Walsh. Read that book. It'll help you. It'll
Definitely.
Last Stands, Michael Walsh. WALSH.
Now, I believe Paul Elam is speaking at 21. Is that correct?
I don't know. That'll be interesting.
That would be awesome hearing that he's doing that, because he's.
It'll be
And I don't know
They're incredible.
if you're interested, Dark Blade, but I know the tickets for 21 convention are coming up soon, so it's a place where you can I would recommend it to anybody, even if you could come as a volunteer, because there are volunteer options too for 21. So
I'll think about it. To me, it's just right now, to be honest, I'm trying to get myself back into life. I went through some stuff recently, and I'm trying to build up some things for myself. Trying to build up a good area, just trying to build myself back up. I'm very lucky with my family right now and my situation. I'm trying to build myself back up. So I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for me. I hope it's good.
It is good. Of course it is.
yeah,
I don't think everything's the end. I'm very grateful. I have a very good family, and I have a very small group of friends, but on purpose. Because I find most people that I'm just like, you're just not worth being around. Most people I get like, oh my God, I'm just like, I'll deal with you. But I've dealt with so many people because I've worked retail for about 6 years now, and I just the bullshit through that, and just seeing how many people are just so stupid and just so, oh my God.
So let me ask you a question. You are diagnosed as
I am actually diagnosed high functioning autism. Yes.
high functioning autism. Okay.
I was diagnosed when I was in 5th grade, and I sadly, through very bad social skills training, because these places don't teach, they truly, feminism has ruined even the teaching of people with disabilities and stuff like that. And I don't even consider my thing a disability. Fuck that. It's not a disability. It's just part of who I am. It's just, we're not teaching people to be people anymore. We're teaching people to be horrible human beings, are treating people like trash. I've seen it firsthand. I was emotionally abused by a woman who was horrible. One of the worst human beings I've ever seen in my entire life. Really put a lot of down and a lot of evil just down me. I had issues in high school because of her, and just confident issues. And then what people were, they were just cruel and just so lost. And then I went after the really wrong women too, that really weren't for me, which I fully agree. It's my problem, and I chose stupid things. I should stop going after stupid and try to find something real.
Okay. And then you said, and then you said Asperger's.
No, it's the same thing. Autism is the same thing. It's all the same thing. Yeah, they've kind of now kept it simple with the whole crap. Which I'm fine with. I actually like that they're like I said, there's always some good things with modern day. They're trying to clean it up to make things a little bit more talkable and stuff like that. And it fascinates me.
So let me ask you a question. What's your end goal? Give us your end goal.
My end goal, simple. My thing is not to be rich. It's just simply just trying to have a family one day and try to just live a happy life and just be comfortable and just try to be a good person.
You got good priorities, man. I got to give it to you. You got better priorities than probably 99% of dudes out here. Seriously.
I get that from my family, and I'm not gonna lie, my dad is a very hard worker. Sadly, because he was working so hard, it was really my mom who taught me a lot of this, just to be a good person and just be open and very kind and very down to earth with people. And I can spot bullshit out of anyone. Like, to me, I'm like, if you're bullshit, I can go bullshit. I'll just call you out on it, because I'm done with it. But I also keep myself back sometimes, and then it's just been me trying to find myself. I do want to mention one thing to you, Michael, and as I know that you and I might disagree with this on video games and stuff like that. I still love video games and stuff like that because I'm a storyteller. I study film and stuff like that. I do agree with you on it, but I also, you know what I mean? I know what you mean. It's not, but me, it's more like I love reviews and stuff like that and storytelling. So that's why I'm into that. I'm not really like obsessed with it like a lot of people. I try to do more than
Dark Blade, do you like rituals? Do you like regiment?
I don't really have a regimen at the moment. I'm trying to build one.
So here's what
put church into your regimen. Every Sunday morning, go to church.
Here's how you know if your relationship with video games is good or not. So I've got an Xbox One. I can hold my own in Halo still a little bit.
What's your gamer tag, Mike? You're going down.
Casa de Foster.
Which game? Reach?
No, it's the one before the new one. 5, I guess. It's usually my son playing it. He's better than I am. But I'm not into that video game. But here's what I'm against. And I'm encouraged by your willingness to come on this stream. I don't want to discourage you at all. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap what honey badgers think. I don't care that women are for me or not. But what I will say to you is, the way you know video games is a problem is you look at your bank account and you look at the your real world skills, your ability to fix a leaky faucet, to repair your garage, your ability to fix your car. So in video games, we exercise dominion with other men and create. So video games are super masculine. You with a bunch of other men, usually, if they're multiplayer, even if they're not, you still have a mission that you develop skills, deploy a strategy, and all these things to conquer and win, right? And so the question is simple for me. When you look at your vocation, you look at your bank account, you look at your assets, you look at the things in your life, like if they are pale in comparison to your video games,
I agree.
Then it's time to pivot away. So
I agree.
Good for recreation, fine for it. But you recreate.
But you need those skills.
Yeah, you recreate after you create. You create something first. And that, I'll go back to what I told you. If you want women, if you want the family, you've got to have a very, you've got to have a drive towards a mission. No one cares about how good or nice you are. No one cares. It doesn't matter in terms of these things. What you have to be is a man of drive, and so I think you've taken a good step, and I want to applaud that. But I want to encourage you to like go after it, man. Go after it hard. The world's a brutal place, and
I agree.
And you can win. You can win. You can win. But he does look like a good Irish lad.
Yeah, my family's actually Irish and Polish. So,
but what I'll say is one of the famous Protestant ministers, Robert Mary McShane, he was Irish as well. So you can go to a good Protestant church instead of what Anthony recommends there. That whore of Babylon that is Rome. But nonetheless, but what I really want to push you to focus on your vocation.
People that say go to mass don't even go to mass. That's what's so funny.
Mass is another word that means Eucharist. That's because they think that the wine turns to the literal blood of Jesus, and they think the bread turns to the literal flesh of Jesus. Of course, it doesn't, because we're not cannibals. Anyway, moving right along. Vocation. Right? What are you doing? Right? No matter what your intentions or thoughts and morality are, at the end of the day, what are you building? Right? What are you doing? What do you do? If you're a barista with nice thoughts towards women, who gives a crap? I don't. No one does. No one cares. It won't matter. And no one will tell you that. They'll tell you that you're doing a good job. But if you have a passion for animals or a passion for whatever, like, go hard, man. Go get it. Go build something. Do something. The Asperger things, you're clearly high functioning. Who cares? You blow right past that. You blow right past that. That's nothing. That's a speed bump. But what you need is drive. And I'm just telling you, man, I'm telling you that if you don't go after those things hard, you're going to find yourself in the same place 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I've seen it happen. And hit the weights, man. Hit the weights. Hit the bag. Find that guttural, primal, like masculine drive that's in you. And
Ritual.
Yeah. And those are what women want. Like, look, when there's a bump in the night, you don't send the wife. You go.
Yeah.
Right. And what a woman wants, she wants to feel safe around a man. And that doesn't mean you have to be the toughest guy. There's always a tougher guy, you know, but that means that you're a man that has control over himself. And that's what I want to leave you with. I look at you and I think there's a lot of potential here, but you need to go get it. Okay. And you can do it. Okay.
I hope so.
And in the meantime, Dark Blade, reach out to me on YouTube. I don't know if you have Instagram or Twitter. Reach out.
I actually don't use something about me. I like to say to people is I don't use social media that much.
Yeah.
I actually tried to take away social media on purpose because I find a lot of it to be very toxic and just bullshit.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time and I laugh. I'm just like, I'm done with this. Like I'll listen to stories and stuff like that, but I always laugh and I'm like, I'm not going back on that. Hell no. It was horrible back in the day. And nowadays I'm like, I'd rather meet someone in person and figure out my life better that way. Because I know it's gonna get better. I feel like this stage is gonna get better.
Are you close to your dad?
No, sadly, my dad and I have
get close to your dad. Get close to your dad. No excuses. Get close to your dad. Go gravitate to your dad more than you do your girlfriends and your mom. Go to your dad. Gravitate to your dad. Try to build a relationship with him. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Just try it. Just a little bit at a time.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing lately. That's actually what I've been doing lately.
Good, man. Good.
Just slowly. It's taking a while, but
yeah.
And
slowly at a time.
I want to see you start streaming. I really do. I want to see you start streaming and talking about this stuff, because I think there's a lot of guys that need to hear what you're saying, and I believe that. So don't be afraid to get out there and put yourself out there. You came on here tonight for a reason. Again, I think this stream tonight was for you. I really do. I think to me, the purpose of this stream, we had come up with some subjects, but the fact that you came on here to me is very important. And I think somebody like yourself needs to listen to Michael Foster, listen to Primal Man, get back with your dad, bring your dad in part of your life. That's really important.
I agree with that. I do.
It really is, and to be honest, you might have an influence on your dad, whether he's not living, the life as a dad should, but you could bring that.
My family. I am very lucky that my family is together. My family. I'm very, very lucky. My family has been together. My mom and dad have a very stable relationship.
Good.
And my dad wasn't raised in the best situations, but
what state are you in?
What
state are you in?
I'm a Floridian, actually.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Me too. That's where I'm at.
Yep. So to me, it's kind of like I know the whole situation with that right now. It's kind of, Florida. Luckily, we've been open.
Yeah. So
trying to.
I think again, somebody like you, I think go ahead and start producing some content. Get a StreamYard. StreamYard can be free. StreamYard is free. Learn how to use it. Just start putting it out there. If you need some help with doing it, let me know. I'll help you do it.
Yeah, definitely. I have been thinking about making content. Not really in the manosphere type of area. My thing is mostly film. I focus on film discussion and talking the more films around the world and just the maturity of some things. Not the woke shit that's happening today. I can't stand it. I love making fun of it, but it's not really smart. There's a lot more films out there from the past have taught many beautiful things and storytelling that's not part of all this craziness.
Yeah, but I think important for guys like yourself would be to talk about what you're talking about tonight.
Yeah,
I think you have a message. Not only do I think it's going to help other guys, but I think it'll help yourself in a big way. That's important.
I'll think about it, definitely.
Yeah. To me, that's going to be my push for you for tonight, is to put your message out there and let people know what you're thinking. I think that's important that we all do that. That's why I'm here tonight. Again, I had to take 3 weeks off to gather my thoughts, and I needed some time off from YouTube. I need some time off from a lot of things, but again, I was a sleeping bear for a few weeks and I got poked, and poked a sleeping bear. So that's why I'm here tonight. But these streams are to help men, and that's really what I'm about, is to help men and women.
I agree fully. I think where we should be helping each other, not putting each other down, or that blindness nowadays with some people, just how they act. I've seen sometimes how they act. I don't want to put any more names. I put the names out there are my biggest issues, those people. But I just see them getting popular right now and I laugh. I'm just like, those people are going to cause more issues than what you guys are doing. You guys are going to cause more good. We're helping out men and talking with men and women and talking about this type of stuff, that we forget that we need to talk. Where I don't think they're helping. They just want to make money. And that drives me nuts. And I see it in their eyes. I'm just like, I see them and I'm like, you're young, but I'm like, dude, you're a douchebag. Like, you are a dick. I watch them. I was listening to them tonight when I was doing some stuff, and I was just like, you guys are idiots. You guys are just,
who are you listening to?
This and I was listening to Fresh and Fit, and I'm just like, these guys are a joke.
I'm going to be honest. I've never seen anything but.
They are a new manosphere podcast, basically, but they're listening to like Donovan Sharp and all these dating coaches, all these people who are so just lost. They're just so lost and just so they're not even helping. They're just putting on just a whole bunch of people, and they're not even working on anything.
I
don't know how to explain.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I think your analysis is accurate.
Oh my god! I'm like, I watched them, and I'm like, they had like, for example, the only good person they had on was Abba and Preach, and I really love Abba and Preach because they say it the way it is. They don't hold back. They just say it the way it is. No bullshit. They might have more leftist areas, but who gives a fuck? But they say what they want to say, and they want men and people to do good. And I saw them on. They said it the way it was, and then you have these two little wusses that just make money and act like douchebags, and they bring sluts. They bring basically sluts on, club sluts on. They don't bring on real women. They bring on sluts. I'm sorry. I watch these podcasts. I'm like, you guys are douchebags. I'm like, bring on people that can actually have conversations and make things better. Like, oh, we're trying to make things better. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Really?
Well, a lot of it's sensationalism. You have to give people what they want, and there's a lot of just weak men that want to. That's what they need. That's what they. That's what
it makes me laugh, honestly.
I don't,
I don't think it's manosphere. I think it's
anger porn.
A pickup culture.
It's anger porn. Hang out with us. Don't watch them.
Oh, I agree. I don't listen. I follow what they say. I'll be dead serious. I've watched them more to hear what they have to say. That debating purpose.
Yeah, it's anger porn. They're just gonna make you mad, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true, and I agree. I remember I started listening to them. I was just like, you guys are just so stupid. You have on these.
Your handle is Dark Blade. I can tell you right now, that's a great name for a channel. It's Dark Blade. I love it. Right there.
It was kind of a thing I created just when I was younger. I was just like, I love swords and stuff like that, and I just and I don't know, it just came out in my head. I was like, Dark Blade. I'm like, this is cool.
Well,
I'll keep it.
That's my assignment for you is to start streaming, and let me know because we'll all come on.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to. If I do a stream, I would love to talk about just what we can do today to make my biggest thing is similar to what you guys are, but a little bit more about looking at the more deeper problems of what we can do to make things better. Talk about the pickup culture and just how ridiculously stupid it can be sometimes, and just how the people.
And I'm glad you said that because I know Primal Man Gene is very big on solutions. We talk about. I know Primal Man is big on. I guess how do you say it? How do you say it, Primal Man, about trying to remember how you say it.
Give me a hint.
Playing a broken game.
Oh yeah. It just gives you ways to play a broken game better. That's my issue with the Manosphere, Red Pill, all this other junk.
Oh yeah. Lately, I've been listening to them, and I'm just like, there's someone like before you sleep, and I like it. He has some interesting opinions. I'll give him that. He has some really interesting opinions.
It's entertainment. But you got to be careful how much entertainment we sit here and consume.
I agree.
It's simply entertainment. That's all it is.
Gonzo, you there?
I'm guilty of it too.
Yo. Can you hear me?
Wanted to make sure it was you.
Oh yeah. No. Wouldn't that be great if I just came on and I'm just like, yeah. So I'm dating this Muslim woman or something. And I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's you. So.
Gonzo's walking by the highway. Be careful.
Yeah. No. I'm. Here I'm doing okay. I just went out to run errands. I just wanted to just hop in and give you guys my support here because this has been really good. I've been enjoying listening to this.
Thank you.
On my errand here. So
good. Well, we missed you. So
yeah, then a lot of sage wisdom. So
yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here shortly. So I wanna thank Dark Blade for coming on, man. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Again, I think this stream was intended for you. So
I saw it. To be honest, I saw it through 21 Studios when he posted it.
Oh,
I was just like, oh, cool. I was like, okay, let me listen to it and hear what you guys have to say. It was a small stream, and I was like, I'll say something.
Good.
I'll see what you guys are like, and I was just like, I'll listen. And if you guys comment, I was like, I'll join.
Good.
Yeah. Good, man.
because I do have a lot to say about it. And right now, we have that where it's frustrating to see that men are not. We want to help, but I don't feel like there's no help. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not building a community. We're building pickup artists and plain guys that just want to make money. And I'm just like, okay, do your thing, make money. But you got to realize sometimes it's not always about the money. It's about making us all better. And we're lost on that point. And that's the thing that makes me so sad. Like I see all these modules and I'm like, okay, I don't give two flying fucks about your modules. I just want to hear, what do you think about something? Stop trying to sell me on dating shit. I think that stuff is not going to go that far either way.
I want to respond to Jared Mesa. Yeah, have Incel Maddox reach out to me. I'd love to do an interview. I don't know who he is, but yeah, have him reach out to me on my comment on YouTube, or anybody can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. My DMs are open at T21Surfer. That's Instagram or Twitter at T21Surfer. That's a great way for anybody to reach out to me. And then once I know who you are, I'll give you an email or a phone number and we can talk. But yeah, I love doing interviews. So that's one thing I enjoy doing.
I do want to mention one more thing, and that's the whole thing. What is your opinion on the incel culture? I don't agree with it. I find it really sad, and I find that people have been more demonizing it and not helping them. Actually, I think they're making them worse.
Boy, that's a whole nother rabbit hole I could go down.
What is
Kind of funny feeling.
like culture? Is there actual culture around it?
Yeah.
Oh my god! It's gotten really bad.
I really don't.
Is that what the black pill is?
No.
I was about to ask. Like, isn't that like doomerism?
Right.
They get bad. I've seen it. Some of the people have talked, and I'm just like, I'm so sad for them.
I really don't think there's a such thing as an incel. I think what's happened, and I'm going to just kind of wrap this up in a nutshell. I don't think there's such thing as an incel. What I think is that there is a man is an incel because he's not getting the type of woman that the world is telling him he should get. So I think that's kind of my take on an incel. In other words, you're not going to get the supermodel or the highly attractive woman. You're going to get what is in your range. And I think that's okay too.
And I think that's funny
really
is like
there is an incel. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. No, I agree with that.
Michael Foster, what do you think of that?
Tough
one, I know. Oof.
I don't know. I don't want to define a culture by their ability to get laid.
It's not okay. I actually want to explain this real quick that I found really fascinating. It's not just about being laid. It's weird little details and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's about looks. It's about just the details. I'm shocked. Some of the stuff that I'm just like, whoa, like it's so.
My whole issue with that, like you can say that, but the name of the culture is incel, involuntary celibate. So I haven't volunteered to not be sexual, right? That's like what the word. Oh, clear.
Yes and no. It's about people not getting laid and they're comparing themselves to people that look better and just. The whole culture, basically the feminist culture flipped on its head, in my opinion, just turned into a man thing. Basically, it's becoming very similar to the feminists, where the looks were all about women, about looks, and now it's kind of changing to something completely different.
Yeah, that's some doomerism right there.
Yeah, that's what that sounds like.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think a lot of these guys spend too much time online. And that they all would do much better to just work on their career, hit the gym, read books, build something. I think they all think too much about these issues. They live in their own heads. I think that's what's going on. As soon as they start becoming human calculators and telling me all the divorce stats and about all
I agree with that.
the sex.
I
and all
agree with
that.
that.
And
Oh my god! If I had to hear one more stat about that,
and I've been through all that, and I'm just kind of like, well, you know, okay, so what are you going to do about it? And I don't know. I think a lot of guys are not going after excellence. I don't think they're trying.
they're
to.
looking for trash, and they're going after the trashy bimbo who just wants to sleep with 100 men. They're not trying to find a good woman who wants to treat them right, and the men want to treat them right.
They're not going after a mission. They're going after women. You guys have to get women. You have to either have to fake vision, which is what game is, like confidence and all that stuff. That's like what game is, a short-term sexual strategy. It doesn't lead to long-term relationships. Everyone realizes that eventually. Or you actually have to have all the things that lead to a long-term relationship, namely as a man, a vision for your life, a mission for your life, a drive. And so when I hear incels, like, I would not talk to them about women. I would probably spend more time on like, hey, what are you trying to build in this world? What are you trying to accomplish? You know, what are your gifts? Where are you going? I mean, that I think I'd spend more time on that. And
I do think that is a part of, I think what you're saying, Michael Foster, is a part of MGTOW philosophy, is go your own way and build something. And I think that is one part definitely of the MGTOW that is positive.
I think DDJ's interpretation of that was helpful to me, where he sees MGTOW as a kind of a lane you're in for a time, and we wouldn't call it monk mode, but it's something like that. You know, I think that's good. I think a lot of incels are self-loathing and seeking pity, and that's not a good place to be, you know. And they constantly want me to validate their suffering, and I'm not going to, even though that the things they're up against are real. But I mean,
I agree.
We all things. Yeah, they don't see a way that it could go right. This is what I've noticed, is that a lot of these guys, I don't know, like you call them doomers, black pill, you know, whatever. I mean, I just see people who don't go by any of the labels or whatever, but they just have that mentality. And I just noticed that they just cannot fathom, because their ego is bloated, right? But they can't fathom the possibility that something could actually go right. Like a marriage could go right, you know, a life could go right, because then it's like, oh, we all die alone. You know, that's their mentality. So,
sorry to the stream. I'm streaming this from my phone. I'm not paying attention to the comments. I apologize about that.
Oh, no worries. Well, I think what Anthony is saying is that start your live stream. We're going to be watching. So
I hope I'm not hoping for views. I'm just hoping to put my opinion out. I'm not looking to be big. I'm just looking to just talk.
And that's what you need to do. You know, you're on here tonight talking just fine. You're getting your viewpoints out. So I think you doing something like that might help a lot more men than you think. You know?
I hope so.
Not only that, it's going to help yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the reason we're here. You know, my channel has morphed into different things, you know, from beard trimming videos to shaving your head to my short philosophy talks to manosphere content to manosphere debates to interviews. So let it go the way it goes. Let it be organic. So I think it's
I agree.
You know. So
yeah, I might start soon.
Yeah, do it and reach out to me, you know, whether it be in the comments, you know, and let me know and I'll promote you for sure. And
Thank you.
Everybody else will. So
I want to just say more to people, because I think we're at a point right now where I just want to see people happy again. I just want to see people not fighting. It disturbs. It's disturbing to see it. And I want to
make it a better place.
There is a lot of room for truth in the world.
Sorry, guys. Michael Jackson.
That's all right.
It happens.
Guys, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna go around the panel here real quick. I'm gonna say, everybody, if anybody wants to reach out to me, T21 Surfer on Instagram and Twitter. So my DMs are open. You can reach out to me there or leave a comment and let me know how I can contact you. Also, I do want to say one thing. I did put a link for. I want to give a mention to the War Room. Okay, the War Room is a channel that I enjoy. He's a very straightforward guy. I'm hoping to have him on a stream one night, but I left a link to his channel in the description of this video. It's called The War Room. He just put out a video yesterday. It's called Masculinism, and I like that. But I'd like y'all to check out The War Room for sure. But I do appreciate everybody joining tonight, and I'm back, and I'll be streaming probably Saturday night also, if not Sunday night. Saturday night is Get It Off Your Chest, but hit that like button, subscribe, share this video, and let's go to Primal Man. Any last words?
Hey, no, not much last words. We covered it. Find me at Primal Man, like you see on the screen, right there, and find me on Instagram at Mantidote, MAN_TIDOT. That's it. Check me out on Primal Man YouTube show. We have a show on Monday night at 8 p.m. Me and Gonzo and sometimes Tony. Yep. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. Monday night man hour.
Monday night man hour. In fact, let me just go ahead and play it here real quick. Boom.
Amazing.
Yeah, Dark Blade, check out Primal Man show and anybody else watching. Monday Night Man Hour on the Primal Man channel. Gonzo, any last words?
Well, I think this was great. I really appreciate the authentic.
He appreciates the authentic.
Gonzo.
Don't you just love mics?
Hello. Am I?
All right, you're
am
back.
I here? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I was about to say I appreciate the authentic Thursday night reality check.
Yeah.
It's back, baby.
The real Thursday night reality check.
Yes. Where we can be held accountable. I'm trying to think of another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dark Blade, any last comments?
Nothing really. I just hope that everything gets better for everyone. Things get better, and we can all be happy, and just everything work out.
Excellent. Positive. I like it. And I'm gonna hold you accountable. I want to see a stream on your channel.
All right, I might do that.
Yeah, you got a lot to say, and I want to hear you say it. Michael Foster, any last comments?
Nope. Glad to be part of this.
Well, we're glad you're here, man. Great input tonight. Love it. And I appreciate your time. I really do.
Thank you.
Very valuable. Always valuable. Always.
You can find me on the Primal Man YouTube show on Mondays. Occasionally on this show on Tuesdays and Saturdays.
There you go.
Excellent. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Much love, honor, and respect to everybody. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Anthony Velasquez, Jared Mesa, everybody, man, for joining us tonight, man. I appreciate you spending your time with us, and I hope we gave you some just something to think about. And that's why we're here. So
that's it.
Cheers, guys. Thank you all for coming.
Peace.
Peace.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Peace.